Welcome to another episode of the Limitless Life Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Smith. And if you have not done so, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another podcast. And if you love this podcast and want some more tips and tricks on how to improve yourself, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are a ton of instructional videos there. You can find the links below. But for today, my friends, we're recording on a Friday. It is beautiful. Today, I would like to introduce to you my guest, Coach Ice.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here, Kyle.
Nice, my man. So, how do you change the lives of the people around you?
Well, currently, by just being in contact with me. I believe that anytime I come into contact with anybody, whether it's over the phone, over the internet, or in person, I hope that they've either learned something or taken something away that they may have forgotten a lesson, and then to bring it into a bigger, more precise method of changing people's lives is I'm a coach. I'm a personal trainer. I'm an online coach. And I help people through health, wellness, and exercise, mindset, everything that is within the body that would improve or increase your quality of life.
Nice, dude. Nice. I love the positive contribution to the human race. Big fan. That is also something that I hold dear to my heart as well. And we were before we started recording. It was awesome chatting for almost an hour, which we probably could have gotten a lot of that content in there. But what I found of you, my friend, is that you seem to be a very well-intentioned, focused, like you're passion driven. Your purpose is positive contribution in my mind. And with what you just said there, it just goes to show that apparently I was on the right page with that kind of thought process. So how how is it that you came about wanting to positively impact people?
It would be growing up. I just felt like I just didn't connect with anybody around my age specifically. And I always felt like I could talk to adults very easily, and then people my age I could not. But then as I got older, I would speak to more adults who would tell me things that changed their lives. And I was like, I want one, people to do that to me. How come no one's changing my life in a conversation? I feel like I'm disconnected in conversations. And then two, I would love if I could have it, and then I would love to be able to also give that. And from that point forward, it was like every time I met somebody, I was like, I want to be able to like leave them on a positive note. Like I don't want them to leave like, oh, that was a waste of time. I hope I never speak to them again, or oh, that's 5 minutes I'll never get back. I was like, no, I want every time that I come into contact with somebody, it's like, hey, you know what? I feel good after this conversation. Even if I didn't learn anything, like, you know, that was good vibes. Like this guy seems like a nice guy. And like I'd rather send you off with positive vibes than negative or waste of time, anything with a negative connotation and such. And then I just carried myself with that as I moved forward in life. And then after obtaining more wisdom in topics that I enjoyed learning about, I would try to only have conversations on topics that I was actually educated in, as opposed to speaking on things that I do not know of or care about.
So you got a little bit more dialed in on your conversations. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I totally get that, dude. It's actually so funny. I find it's so interesting when you explain your thinking framework because it resonates with me so much. And it some folks kind of uh they don't think of that being goodness, like that being a good person, as a beneficial activity or a way or a way of being. It's just being a
Mm-hmm.
good person is just a good way of being because you get a bunch of the good vibes. I found because it's been something that I've been actively on or doing, and I've been noticing a lot more of that. Just it's an emotional investment almost, where it's just you just put out the good vibes, and then it comes back like dividends, where you get a little benefit of that little emotional bank account, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
dude, it is completely changed my like existence and way of life and how I perceive the world.
100%. I agree with that 100%. And like I would say, I do it without the intention of receiving good energy back.
Mhm.
I would hope so, but it's also not with the intention of like, let's say, like increasing that energy bank. It's
Totally.
just knowing that I myself was one in control of my emotions, and two made the decisions to make positive conversation or positive energy, as opposed to attacking somebody or offering negative energy. Which that sounds like why would you do that intentionally? Why would you intentionally try to make someone feel hurt? Why would you intentionally try to have a negative conversation? I can't fathom as to what would motivate someone to do that outside of being hurt themselves or the
Maliciousness.
lack of understanding. Exactly. Um, that is a whole different monster in itself. But just like an everyday thing, like say someone cuts you off on the road, it's like, do I really need to yell in my car to get out this expression, or am I just happy that like neither of us got in an accident? I'm still gonna arrive to my destination. It might be a few minutes later. Maybe that car saved me from an accident that was about to happen if he didn't cut me off. Like I tried to switch up the perspective quite quickly, and that just maintains my like emotional regulation right off the bat, and it doesn't ruin my day. It's finished, done. I don't want to give people the opportunity to have that much control over me.
Mm. I like thinking of it. You want to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. You want to control your
Exactly.
internal temperature. You don't want to react to the external temperature.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. So I'm guessing you probably dig a lot of like Stoic philosophy or some philosophy. Do you have any particular philosophers that really inspire your kind of thought process? I thought of one that just popped up for myself, but you go for it.
To be specific, probably not, because for myself, the way I've been thinking kind of came from like random quotes on Instagram, believe it or not. In like 2016, I think I started following like mindset accounts that would just post quotes daily, and they would have like philosophic quotes, and I would kind of just memorize them in the moment. And then when something would happen in my life where I could use that
Mm.
quote to either help me in that moment or to have a perspective switch, I would do it in the moment. And I kind of just every day I would see like a quote, and I'm like, okay, like go 24 hours without saying something negative and watch your life change. And then I'll be like, okay, like go 24 hours without saying something negative. Like how negative can you really be in 24 hours? And then I realized like I'm like eating something like, this is kind of crappy. I shouldn't have bought this. That was like the first negative thought. Then like I'm walking, someone's on their phone, they bump into my shoulder. I'm like, man, they should probably just like watch where they're going. Like what the heck? And I'm like, oh shit, like this is quick. I'm already at two. My day just started. Like what's going on? So I made the conscious decision the next day to like actually fulfill that goal and not say anything negative. I wasn't going to be able to think unnegatively, but I was like, you know what, like let's just change the mindset and like try it out for a day. And that day turned into years. And then it got to the point I can say we're in 2019. I actually never had a negative thought towards people, ideas, or places or anything in the sort that I didn't even think in negatives to the point where it's almost, I would say, too extreme.
Mm.
I think that there was a point where there was a point of toxic positivity
Nice.
because nothing was negative at that point. And there is some realistic things with some things in life that you do need to realize they can be negative, and it's not because you feel like they're negative that they're actually negative. Like I'm not gonna just start injecting drugs into my biceps today and then just be like high all the time and like end up homeless without a job and be like, yeah, but I decided that it's like it's okay. Like there is
Yeah,
negative, and that's
but
a negative
bro, the
on the part.
biceps.
The biceps.
Yeah.
It shows you how
Who
little I
needs
know about injecting drugs high.
yeah, who needs a roof when you got biceps?
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny. That's crazy. Yeah, I love that. I very much so resonate with that. Honestly, I resonate with a lot of the shenanigans you've been talking about, man.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, and I find that I totally think that there is a toxic positivity as well. I
Absolutely.
It's so funny because I pondered this a couple of times, but I never actually no one ever brought it in conversation, or there was never a point of conversation. You're the first person to kind of talk about toxic positivity or an idea of it. That's so cool. Because just like there's a duality to everything, right? There's always
So
going to be an opposite. There cannot be one without the other. There cannot be a
exactly.
creation of one without the other. There's always an opposing component
Active
or a role,
destruction. We
or
have
it's
to
it's
break
just
down. Yeah.
exactly. So it's interesting. I think because I made a post today where uh, I said that food is neither good nor bad. There is no inherent morality. Food can be for fuel and for fun. It just depends on the
Mhm.
intention, like what we were talking about before. It's just thinking about the intention behind the consumption.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that I think has helped me a ton, where it has that objective point of view where you have that third person point of view. And so you have like, okay, this is realistically bad, where it's like this is a 7 out of 10 positivity, 10 out of 10 is toxic positivity, and one is like no positivity at all,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like, oh, a nice 7 out of 10, that's a good place to be.
It's like having like the half cupcake versus an entire cup of rice or a little brownie. It's like I
Yeah.
don't want rice because it's boring. I don't want the full brownie because it's pretty rich. But like half a cupcake, it gives me my carbs, get a little bit of a sweet tooth kick, and I don't eat the whole
Yeah. And then it's like
thing.
then people have that it's a bias. I forget which cognitive bias it is, but then you just have the desire to finish it. You're just like, I just want to finish it. That's why
Yeah,
I think I have a theory that that's why having mini pies, like pumpkin pie is my favorite pie. So if there's
yeah.
mini pumpkin pies, right?
You finish
Like little, I would finish that, and
the
I
bite.
wouldn't be tempted to finish the big one if I only had a piece.
Yes.
So that's a trick. That's a trick, folks. You
Yeah,
take
it's like
that and
using
it's
a small plate and less food, and then like a big plate and like more food. Like you just like
100%.
the perspectives.
Totally. That's pretty sweet, my man. What else were we talking about before that? Like, there's been a couple things that have really popped up. So I'm trying to think. I should have made some more notes. Actually, um, something I think would be kind of cool is talking about your Instagram idea where it would be the hello, good morning, and good night IG. I just think that that's a really cool idea, and I want to spitball that and just kind of think it out because I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. What do you think? Do you think you would be able to have that same impact you were talking about earlier, where you want to be that positive contribution to someone when someone meets you, they feel better? Do you think by having that kind of intentionality, if you're saying like hello, good morning, and then you're saying hello, good night on the socials? Because I think I'm actually going to adopt it. That's why I'm selfishly just getting something out of you.
For sure.
No, that's pretty sweet.
Um, with that, like I said, so what I was telling you was like what I treated my Instagram stories like when I began blogging was essentially like each day was an episode of my life.
Mm,
And I would start filming from when I woke up till I went to bed. And what I began with, I believe, was my series was called hashtag Grow With Me. So I was going to NATE for my personal fitness trainer diploma. I was starting to bulk, so I was starting to track macros. So what my intentions were was to show people one, I'm learning this stuff in school to show that I'm getting the education. Two, it was to build up my social media page for when I did graduate and I wanted to begin running a business. Three, it was to show that not only can I have the knowledge and learn it, but I can also lead by example by applying it. And then on top of that, it was also for adherence for myself because I was essentially telling myself to do everything. And I knew that if I had told the world what I was going to do, I kind of had a little bit of a pressure to like, hey, like I want to sleep in today, but I said I'm going to be getting up every day at 10 o'clock and I'm going to eat
mm,
my food that's going. I would not only show the food going into my mouth, I would also show myself tracking it in my fitness pal and then posting the macros and calories to show how you can actually track macros and eat different foods every day while having a goal. And my goal at the time was to grow, so bulking. Um, and I would always speak as if I was on FaceTime with family or friends. So I did everything in one shot, one take post. Don't even look at it until it's up there. Because I truly do feel like if there's anybody in my life who can stand in front of me, it's me. It's
nice.
only me. And if I was to like shoot these videos and then look at it, I knew exactly that I was going to critique every little nitpick thing that I could to the point where I'd be like, you know what, I'm not going to post it. And my intention with that was I wanted people to watch me grow as well as a person speaking as a social media person because I would stutter a lot and couldn't formulate my ideas as much because I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, yo, like I'm showing my life. It's me. I'm eating. Hey, I'm going to the gym. Hey, come with me. Let's go get groceries. Hey, let's go to Costco together. Hey, you know what? Today's a different day because we're going to the dentist, which is all part of real life. And it was just like it was showing that I wasn't a robot. It was like, yo,
Mm,
I'm a human being. I got a life, I got a job, I got school, I got responsibilities, but I also have goals. And this is exactly what I'm doing each and every hour of the day to make sure that I'm on track towards my goals. They might not get here as fast as I want them. They might not turn out the way that I do. I might not even actually have that much like excitement with them once I complete them. And I was finding that as I continued to make goals, that once I was hitting goals, I was realizing like some goals had like this like I put them on a pedestal in my head, and then once I'd hit them in real life, they actually did not hold the value that I had created for them. But
You probably desensitized yourself by envisioning it so much. You already experienced it a bajillion times. So when you actually got it, you were just like, meh.
exactly, it was almost like I like I don't want to say I was living in the future, but it was almost like I wasn't aware of what I had in the moment. And what I tried my best to do was express my thoughts along every day. What I thought about what I was eating, what I thought about what I was doing, what people would reply to me, what I would think about their thoughts. And all that was to just kind of hopefully spark a new idea in anybody who was watching, or just maintain motivation and positivity in someone's life who might not have it. Because I had people, well, the way my blog was set up was I woke up, I had a theme song, I had a clock to show that I was waking up at 10. And then at the time, I think I had like these three crosses or something. They were hanging in my car, or I had a cross in my room. So I would just zoom into the cross, and it'd be like the theme song starts up and it builds up and it builds up. It says the time, hashtag grow with me by Ice Villalta. So you knew who it was. And that was to like let people know like who I was. So you're like, who's Ice Villalta? What is Ice Villalta? What is an ice? And it was like, okay, like I'm letting people know who I am. I'm building up this persona, this internet character. It's all good. But I wanted to be speaking directly to somebody every time I spoke. So every time it was a we and you, it was like, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you feel like you can't get your goals by not tracking your food, or like you don't like a meal plan, like this is exactly why I'm doing this. Is for you, so you can see that I'm not eating chicken and rice all day, but I am getting towards the goals that you might want to achieve as well. So if this is something you want to do, it's literally said grow with me. All you have to do is tune in every day, do a little bit of what I'm doing, and it'll get you on track. And then as I progress, you'll progress too, and we'll do it at the same time. And any problems that arise, I'm showing them live. I wasn't keeping it positive and only highlighted. It was like, yo, I got sick today. I didn't get groceries yesterday, so now I don't have a week of food prepared. What am I gonna do? And it was like, hey, this is a real life situation. It's like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm sick. I'm quickly gonna go get some Uncle Ben's rice I can throw in the microwave. I'm gonna go get a rotisserie chicken, and for
Nice.
today, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that, and then I have a food scale. I'm gonna weigh it out. I'm gonna put it into my fitness pal. I'm like, this is how we're gonna do it today. Maybe not as fun, not as luxurious, but some days it's not about being fun and being spontaneous with your meals. Sometimes like it's okay to keep the same breakfast. It's okay sometimes to have the same lunch and then spice it up with your snacks and your dinner. And that's all that was, to lead by example.
There's two people on this planet, my man. The people that believe, or the people that eat the same thing every day and don't know it and say that they don't, or the people that do eat the same thing every day and they know they do it.
Well, realistically, as an adult, once you start cooking for yourself and buying your own groceries and whatnot, if you're not a chef or someone who likes to switch it up, you really realistically eat the same 8 to 11 things for like the rest of your life
It's
that you
true.
ate as a child up to like 20 some, or that your parents had. And you kind of, between those like 8 to 11, you kind of rotate the same eight realistically for most of the week. And it's not until you get that craving for like, hey, you know what, today, like I want to have spaghetti because my mom used to make it. And so today I want spaghetti, you know?
Yeah. Where it just
But
hits
then
the
like,
novelty.
yeah. But then like I had it set up like that, and then I had a point to always post 3 times in the day, three different motivational quotes that I came across that I personally found useful. It wasn't just to post. It was something that I had seen, utilized at one point in my day, and then I would post it. And then I'd also have three fitness posts. So things that I found common between the questions that I got. So I could post like my theme song, and then the first thing would be like, how you start your day with your intention is everything. Like make sure you start off with a positive note and what you're in control of. For the first thing you can do, if it is making your bed, make your bed. Might be for you, might not be for you. Do I like waking up and making my bed? Honestly, no. Do I find that it changes my success in life? Absolutely not. Have I tried it? Yes, I have. It did nothing for me. It might do something for someone else, and it makes them feel like they're in control of the day. Awesome. If it works for you, that's now a tool that you can put in your toolbox. And who am I to say that it doesn't work? Because if it works for you, it works for you. And then I would also have like three fitness posts. So it'd be like common reasons why you get back pain after a leg day. It's like I know
Mm.
everyone messaged me, man, my leg, my after my leg day, I can't walk for 3 days. It's like, hey, was that due to like a good workout, or is it because you actually like physically injured yourself and your spine is like screaming at you because of what you did wrong? So it was like I wanted to attack all angles. I wanted mindset, I wanted nutrition, and I wanted to lead by example, and a bunch of other things. But like that was like the main content of like the daily vlogs, and all that was is like you might not look at social media for fitness. So like you watch my story, I would also post meal stuff. So like 3 different ways, 50 grams of protein in a meal. Some people are like, you know what? How do you hit 50 grams of protein? It's like, don't worry. You watch my story
Mm.
tomorrow. I post 3 different ideas. So it's
Nice.
kind of like a magazine. I use it like a magazine. Like you got like the main thing is fitness, but then you're gonna have some mindset, some philosophy. You're gonna have some nutrition and macros. You're gonna have some fitness in it, and then I'd be going to the gyms and I'd be showing my workouts or like posing after it. So it'd be like that little bit of like motivation or like inspiration from like, hey, he's actually doing it and he's getting results. So like what he's doing actually makes sense to follow. It's not like, oh, he's eating like an asshole and he's looking worse every day. So like, why would I follow this guy?
That's totally legit, dude. That's so funny. So what is it that's sets your heart on fire? What is that your ambition? What drives you? Because just from chatting with you before we started recording as well, you're just like I feel this like a vibe from you, dude. And that sounds so funny. But you got a lot of energy and you got a lot of passion and intention. You're a very intentional person, actually. I think that's one takeaway that I just recognized that I said a couple times. So that's pretty sweet. But
Which
what
now
sets
I'm
your
recognizing it more now that you say it out loud. I thought it was like a basic thing, but the fact that you're making it sound like it's not, I'm like, wow, it's like, are
yeah,
most
no.
people not this intentional with their day and their life and their career?
Correct. Absolutely. Like I'm thinking because recognize it when I went from being passive, a passive participator or a passive observer of my life compared to a active participator. And
Yes.
so I recognize, so what I try to reflect like pretty like real time. So I am reflecting on, oh, why is it? Okay. I think like if I say a word once or if something happens once, but in this particular case, if I say a word once, then it's just, it could be a one off. If I say it twice, then it's like, ooh, okay, there's something there. But if I say it 3 times or more, then there's actually, there is a deeper connection to it, or it's a specific reason as to why it comes up, because I try to make it so I don't revisit it, so it's an active thing that I do. But it's come up a couple times, my man, and that's pretty good shit.
Which I feel like when you say it, like, yes, I do feel like I'm very much intentional in everything of my everyday life. I feel like I'm intentional with the way that I wake up. I feel like that I'm intentional with every conversation. I feel like I'm intentional with everything that I eat. I'm intentional with everything that I spend my money on. I'm intentional with everything I do when I go to the gym. Like everything, I feel as though like it's personally, I guess, this is, I guess, super personal, that I feel like everything should have intention behind it. I don't feel like you should be on autopilot. It's like you only have one life to live, and you're really going to be on autopilot 8 hours of the day for your adulthood. So then, realistically, what did you live? Those 3 hours after work every day before you went to bed? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we've only got one shot at this, and it's like that can kind of segue into the whole like escaping your reality
Mm.
because it's like I had this intention from I want to say for sure minimum 2015. I decided that I wanted to have a life that I didn't need a vacation from, and I wanted to work a job that didn't feel like I was working. So my goal was to find out something that I was good at or that I enjoyed and find a way to monetize off of it while still being able to help others and interact with others. I found that I'm very much a people person, and being in the back of house in any job was never for me. Being isolated was never for me. And I found that just like interacting with other people, getting their energy and how they speak and all that was very much like I liked it. I worked at Lululemon for a couple of years, and the type of people that would come in there were very like-minded people, and the conversations were amazing. And it wasn't just about like stretchy black leggings. It was like the people that come in here, they've created a great community of the like-minded people that are their customers, their employees, and their philosophies on mindset as well. There's a lot of mindset work that they offer while you're an employee there as just like a benefit. Literally, I was just talking about this with my sister a couple of days ago. Was my orientation, the first 3 days, had actually nothing to do with Lululemon, but it had to do with manifestation and manifesting a parking spot in front of like an establishment or a house every time. Like that's what they started my training with. I want to say the guy's name was Bob Proctor, but I could be wrong.
Well,
But it was
Bob Proctor is a like a mindset coach. So
yeah. So
you
I
definitely
think
be right.
it was like an audio book. So I was like, I got sent to me in the
Nice.
email. I was like, make sure you listen to all this over the next 3 days, and then we'll talk about it when we meet up in your in-person interview. They didn't say a single thing about it, but like it was all mindset. And that was kind of around the same time that I had just started getting into the philosophies on Instagram. So I was kind of taking
Mm.
philosophies and using them as like parables or like rules for my daily life. And then I'm getting into this new job, and this guy is talking about like manifesting the life that you want in your reality. Let's start with the simplest: manifesting a parking spot in front of an establishment every time you go. And then he goes about his whole technique of like closing his eyes, visualizing himself driving there, going through like the parking lot, going to the front of the business, and there's a spot right there for him. How happy he feels that there is a spot there. He doesn't have to walk far. And then he would be like, hey, and then I get in my car and I imagine feeling that feeling the whole time. And then every time I go, whether it's the mall, whether it's the bank, whether it's a friend's house, like there's always that parking spot waiting for me. It's like I manifested it. And then like
Yeah,
it just shot from there. It just continuously grew.
that's so sweet. I like that. What why
And
do
it
you
just
think this kind of goes to what I was saying before with how before ADD became cool, it was just known as daydreaming.
yeah,
I think manifestation is just a form of daydreaming that we've just gotten out of practice with.
absolutely. And to, yeah, I think so too, because I believe that like if you were to take someone with ADD and let's say put them in front of a computer screen and only feed them, make them consume content that is like business driven, mindset driven, uh, self self help, and those like these type of subjects, I believe that that would kind of change the character they have, and they would be able to kind of consume that and apply it almost like quicker than somebody who is like, you know what, it's been 20 years, I want to change my life, I'm going to go pick up a book at Indigo, and it's a self help book. Versus, I
Nice.
think you can also take an ADHD or ADD person, sit there, make you consume, let's say, negative content like dark hip hop and rap and like
Mm.
murder, drug movies, true crime, all
Call of
this stuff.
Duty gameplay.
Yeah, and it would just consume them, and then that would change the way that they look at life. And it's like that's intent. Are you intentionally consuming content that is progressing you mentally, physically, emotionally, monetarily, or are you consuming content that's actually like breaking you down mentally, dysregulating you emotionally, and realistically not setting you up for a life that you want? Is
Hmm.
this like another way of like escaping your reality? Is by like, okay, like I feel triggered, so I'm gonna trigger myself on purpose with like a scary movie because at least then I'm in control.
Yeah, that's
And
so
that's
crazy. Hey.
stop doing because I'm like intentionally I don't want to have these thoughts before I go to bed. And
Hmm.
then people like I worked with a lot of people who love true crime podcasts, so they'd be listening to them all day, all night. And I'm like, that's how you get those thoughts that when you get in your car, you're like, yo, someone's behind me because you're feeding yourself that type of content. Like if you don't consume it, you don't think that way. And it's that intentional because it's like, okay, if I were gonna consume content, I want it to be content that's gonna help me in everyday life. So if someone says like, oh, if you're gonna go buy something, if you can't purchase it 3 times, you can't afford it. Super
I
quick,
like
super
that one. Yeah.
simple. Might apply to you, might not apply to you. Then all of a sudden next week you're like, you know what, man? I think I want to upgrade my laptop, and I'm looking at this like $6,000 laptop. It's like, you know what? It's a good investment, and it would help me with my work. Could I buy it 3 times right now? And if the answer is no, it's like, you know what? That's a goal. I'll work towards it. Now we'll change to how can I afford this, and
Yeah.
then that's the new journey.
Another one that I like that could I afford it like 3 times? I like the other one where it's I'll often wait about 72 hours, or if a week goes by and I still want something, then I'll be like, oh, okay. Oh, maybe there's something to this. But oftentimes I
You can write
actually
it
just
down
forget.
exactly because I'm like, if I want it this badly, I'm not going to write it down. It will be on my mind. And if next week I wake up and I forgot about it completely and then someone brings it up, I didn't really want it that bad. It was more impulsive.
Totally. There's actually a couple people going back to the ADD part because I just thought of something. But I find that a common characteristic, and I actually look at a lot of the folks that have like a diagnosis of ADD or ADHD, that it's actually not it's not a bad thing at all. I think it's a gift that people are just not training themselves to utilize. Because I
Agreed.
actually think it because this is the way that I kind of articulated the other day with someone where the mind of someone with ADD or ADHD is very, very quick moving, and it's moving at the same pace as the environment outside of us, because we're still cavemen, right? We're still monkeys. We're not evolving as fast as the environment around us. Everything, we're getting like AI, and people are like, oh my gosh, what is, like, we're not evolving really that quick. And so I think when we can think quicker or more effectively, then people can create those frameworks. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm a weirdo because I think weird, or just because I don't think like other people, that makes me a loser. I think when people actually listen to their thoughts and then challenge their thoughts and create those frameworks, then it's a lot easier. So this is actually a cool one. I think you might like this, but there is a fella, his name is Dr. Russell Barkley. And in 2012, he did a speech on how ADD and ADHD does not exist. It's actually not attention deficit disorder, it's intention deficit disorder. And that was like a really cool one. When he told, when I watched a video about it, I was like, oh my gosh, that totally makes sense. Because people, there's there's a part there's a part of me that actually wants to go, and I know for a fact that I would just hit all the points for someone with ADD, but I want to get the diagnosis, and then that way I can say, you know what, I have it too, and this is how I handle it,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, it's interesting. So I guess intention is definitely going to be in the title of this episode.
For sure. And with what you just said, I came to that realization on my own for myself as being like diagnosed with ADD and such, that it wasn't an attention disorder for myself, right? Because I found like yes, I'd be daydreaming in school. I never wanted to do my homework. I never wanted to like I couldn't focus for longer than like 7 seconds. I'd already be like daydreaming, thinking about what I want to eat, or just not present, and I'd be in my head listening. I was always listening to music in my head. All my music, I have it completely memorized, the beats, the lyrics, the what I think is off in the song, everything. So I could sit there and it's like an iPod is playing in my head 24/7. And then when I went to Nate for personal training, because it was a topic that I had choose to take for myself, it wasn't because I wanted to be a coach. Actually, it was because I just wanted to work out better and
Nice.
have actual knowledge as opposed to like what I was learning on YouTube and Google at the time. And for some reason, my whole life up to grade 12, like reading a textbook, I couldn't do it. I could read a whole page and then look up and be like, I have no idea what I just read. And then I'd go again and then read it out loud. First two sentences, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm following. And then I'm daydreaming. And I'm like, I don't even remember what I just read. Then I'm like, hey, my finger, blah, da, 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 da. And then I'm daydreaming. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm lazy, I'm dumb, I'm stupid. Like, school's not for me. Nate, I'm reading textbooks 6 hours. I'm going home and I'm reading studies at 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning for 3 hours with no hesitation, no daydreaming, no falling off track. It's because of something I was truly passionate about. And if that meant spending the next morning from 10 in the morning to 3 p.m. reading the study from the top to bottom, not the abstract, I had no problem doing that. And I hated reading my entire life. I hated reading and I hated books growing up. But then all of a sudden, it's about fitness. I can sit there and I can read someone's entire 118-page essay on a certain topic, and I can just run through it, and like it's as if like it was a 5 minute read for me. I'm just like da, 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 go through it all, understand it exactly, and it's done. On to the next one. Then someone brings up a fitness question. I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Let me get back to you. Go read the studies. Hit up Google Scholarly. Start going through all meta analysis. Spend 3 days reading the exact same topic. Come back in like 4 days and be like, okay, so this is what I found. And
Yeah.
it's like you just is that all you did? You became an expert in macros and fat loss for someone with hypothyroidism in the last 3 days. And I'm like, well, I'm not an expert, but I did read the last 3 days on like everything I could find on scholarly, and then I went to YouTube to find all these explanations to get a base understanding, and then I went to go look at what all the medications are for, what they're made for, what they do, what their impact is on the body. Then we go look at what their holistic nutrition has for their approach at the same thing, and then take a step back and like bring it all together into one and be like, this is what I think now. And it's like, you knew nothing about this 3 days ago. And it's like, yeah, I know, but you asked me and I was curious and this is what I found. And I found that that's what I could do every single time a client was to ask me a question that I didn't know anything about.
Mm,
It was never like, oh, I don't know that. So like, don't worry about it or I'll get back to you. It was like, okay, I don't know. Now I'm going to go find it. And the
nice.
intention was, if it's a problem for them, it's probably a problem for somebody else. And if I have the answer now, I'll I'll only be able to help more people as I learn more about this topic. And the more I learn as well, I find that I'm still like at barely scratching the surface of the knowledge on any given topic. But I can have a conversation in everyday life with somebody, let's say, about macros. Like every 1 in 100 people know what macros are. But then you go into the fitness industry, you can ask somebody like, yo, how much protein do you eat? And they'll tell you like, oh, like I like to have around 200 grams. I like to have around 250. Or I keep it low. I like this certain diet. But then if you go walk into the mall and go up to like a general population person and be like, yo, what is macros? They'll be like, we talk about. It's like, well, how much protein do you eat in a day? They're like, I don't know. Like, who cares? It's just such a different mindset. And it's
Hmm.
like, no, intentionally, I want to know how much protein I'm eating in a day. I want to know how much water I'm consuming in a day. I want to know these things because once I get dysregulated, I can now take a look back and be like, okay, this is my homeostasis. What happened in the last, let's say, 12 hours that might have knocked me out of this? And then there, I can now kind of diagnose what could have went wrong. Why do I feel the way that I feel? Why am I tired? Why am I anxious? And I can kind of go from there. And then when I speak to clients, I can ask about their day, their work, their relationship, their workout, and be like, okay, we can kind of pinpoint where this came from. So last night you found a new TV series. So instead of going to bed at 10 o'clock, you binge watched 5 extra episodes, went to bed at 3, got up at 6, we're late, you didn't have breakfast, so you started your day with coffee, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, but I've been so anxious today. It's like, yeah, to go take a look at what you did differently. Because if you
Totally.
had a routine and you fell off of it, you cannot expect the results from what you've done to stay without doing what you did to get the results.
Hmm. And that's in
And
either direction.
exactly. And that's with everything. It's like you can't save
Yeah.
up $100 and then spend $100 and be like, why don't I still have $100? It's because you stopped saving. It's like, oh, like I followed this meal plan for 8 weeks, lost 20 pounds, and then stopped the meal plan, went back to life, and I gained it all back. What happened? It's like you stopped doing the things that got you there. It's like
Totally.
you don't brush your teeth until they're white and be like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. For the rest of
Why
your
don't I have
life.
white teeth anymore? Yeah, and it's like it's hilarious. Do people really want to look at everything as a one-time fix? And it's
That's
like
interesting. Hey,
realistically, it is
why do you think that is?
because it's easy.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
It's much that's autopilot. That's like, okay, if I take this tablet today, I no longer have to brush my teeth. If I take this tablet today, I no longer have to watch what I'm eating because I'm not going to get acne. Like it's just like it's one less thing to think about, and it's one more thing I can put on autopilot. But
Mm.
that's the whole thing is like that's the opposite of being intentional. Because my intent is to brush my teeth, to take care of my dental health, to be able to eat food, to be able to have like a decent smile. Like there's intention there. The intention is to have teeth. Like it's like, oh, like if I start working out, I'm gonna have to do it every day or every week. It's like yes, because intentionally, don't you want to be able to move next year and in 30 years and in 40 years? Like the intention is like, what can you do today to set yourself up for success tomorrow? And tomorrow doesn't actually mean tomorrow. It can mean years from now. It just means future.
Do you have a do you have kind of like it's called future casting, right? So there's usually people have a pleasure driven goal where it's I when I get to accomplish this, then I'm going to be happy and joyful. And then there's the pain based goal where it's like I want to avoid this. Do you think is there like a long term fear or pain that you don't want to experience that puts you so much more into the present? Do you think?
Yes.
Oh shit! Oh, let's hear
I
it.
have both of those actually. And
Okay.
what you just did was categorize them for me, but I know that they exist in my life and in my head. So we can start with the pain. The
Bring
pain
bring the
motivated.
pain, ice. Bring the pain.
Yeah. So the pain would be essentially why I decided what I wanted to do with my life out of high school. So I didn't want to work at a job because I felt like I never connected with people, and I don't like being told what to do, and I don't like rules, and um, I also never wanted to be in poverty. And I came from a family of immigrants and such, and I seen what life could be like with them. And then I went to like a not fully, but an almost all white private Christian school. So I got to see like a different type of lifestyle. And I would like look at the things that like the kids my age had that I didn't. And I was like, I want to have these things. And then as I grew up, like the way that like my father would tell me how things go was like, oh yeah, like we work for these people. Like
Mm.
that's their life and we need to work for it. We like that's their life, that's not our life. It's like, oh, like how come we don't have like a big mansion? Like how come we live with all our family? And it's like that's like their life and then this is our life. This is how we have things. And I'm like, but I go to school with them. I kind of look like them. I should be able to have the same life as them. And then now growing up, let's say towards like 18, my parents had divorced.
Mm.
And that's changed my life completely. I was full time working at Lululemon and I was a full time student at Nate. And then on top of that, I was just left without parents from one day to the next.
Mm. Yeah.
And there was a point where my brother and I like didn't even have electricity or heat in the house for like a month because we didn't make the payments and like it was something we weren't ready for. And that was like my only goals was to make sure that my brother was okay and that I was passing school so this wouldn't be my forever. And then for him was to make sure that I was just okay and fed because he was my older brother. So he kind of took on like a parent role. And that dynamic was like there was no electricity and no lights. Like we'd be together, and we're like, man, like one day this is not we're feel this because we're never gonna have this again. I promise you, I'll do everything it takes that you never have to worry about this. Like it got to the point where the energy would come on for 10 minutes because it was winter time. So in Alberta, the pipes will freeze if there's no heat. So the city
Mm.
will actually has like automatically return the energy back on just enough to heat the house and then bring it back down. In those 10 minutes, I would shower, I would quickly cook some chicken, quickly set myself up with what I could. And then outside of that, I would have to go drive to a McDonald's or a Tim Hortons and connect to the Wi-Fi and actually do my university work or my Nate work. And it was like I had a friend at the time who was like, "Man, like if the lights turned on, I would just be pissed and like not do anything because I knew they're gonna shut it off." And I was like, "Yes, but that doesn't set me up for a better evening or tomorrow. Like I need to do laundry, I need to take a shower, I need to cook food, I need to do my homework, and I need to go to work. Like I can either look at it as a oh man, like whatever, or I can be like, hey, I have these 10 minutes. What can I do in these 10 minutes is going to set me up.
Mhm.
And once I started building up my business, I was still working. The whole point was like I want to have multiple incomes at this time because I never want to worry about when's the next 10 minutes that the energy's going to turn on so I can take a shower. When is the next 10 minutes that the energy's going to turn on so I can go turn the oven on or fry some meat up. Like I had never had that in my childhood, so why would I have it in my adulthood? And that is like a huge like reminder. Every single time I'm like, you know what, this is getting hard. I'm like, no, hard was winter with no energy and no heat. That's hard. Not having money to go be able to go buy food because you can't cook at home. That's hard. And that's like a pain that like I'll always remember. Like I will never be in that position ever again because I've gotten myself out of it now and I know everything that it took and I know it's possible. So then that would be my pain because now with I've lived it and I would never wish that upon anybody,
Mm.
which I feel two ways about because the same way I would never go intentionally hurt somebody to give them negativity, therefore everything is positive with intention. I would also never wish that someone had to go through these struggles if they didn't have to. But the reason I feel two ways about that is because I would never wish it upon them just because one, it sucks, but two, there is also that struggle is what led me to be the person that I am today. And potentially you might need that struggle to actually cause something in your brain to switch from I'm a victim to I'm in control of my circumstances that I have currently. What am I in control of? I'm going to focus on that. What am I not in control of? Let's throw that away because it's useless to me anyway. Let's not worry
Nice.
about what we're not in control and let's worry about what we're in control. And then that kind of led me to make better decisions and quicker decisions. The faster I can make decisions, the better the decisions I can make. And then the practice of making fast decisions, I got better decisions. Not all the decisions were good, they were fast. But the whole point was to get better. And I knew that I was always progressing because at the same time, I was still vlogging. So I was still showing my struggles. And
Ah,
it was like, listen,
nice.
like, look where we're coming from. We're coming from like having a
Yeah, this
family
is awesome. This is a great
and
story,
everything.
dude.
And
That
now
is
all
awesome.
of a sudden school full time, then all of a sudden work full time, and then all of a sudden big struggle. And it's like, but I'm still tracking my macros. I'm
Yeah.
still going to the gym. I'm still like I was sleeping 1 hour and I worked
Awesome.
full time. So I was up early every day for like 2.5 years. I was at school at like 8 in the morning every day, and then weekends I worked at Lululemon at like 8 or 9. So like I was up every day, no matter what, and I was going to bed late every day, no matter what, because I had to do homework after work or after school.
Hmm.
And it was like I looked at it as I'm doing all this work today so that tomorrow I won't have to. And like I said, tomorrow means like the future. And
Absolutely.
then the way I can kind of relate to that now, that was I think I graduated in 2018. I would say now it's 2023. I've worked for myself from 2018 or 2018 to 2022. I worked for my own business, for my personal training business, and then not having all of this stuff happen at once, and like not having a routine anymore that was forced, not interacting with people because I was working from home because of lockdown and such. I realized how much like I did want a little bit, not a little bit of struggle, but like a little bit of struggle, like a little bit of okay, like I do need to do this because I want a little more for myself.
Hmm.
There was like a place of comfortability because I was like, you know what? I have heat. I have food. If I don't want to make food, I can go buy food. If I want to buy food tomorrow, I can do it again. And then there's that comfortability that kind of can like also kind of bring you down. And you were mentioning earlier, like you have like that old you that
Hmm.
like supports like the self sabotaging and like who you used to be, and like that new you who like could give you advice and such. And I'm like, that's where I feel like I'm currently at in this exact moment of my life. Because now I can look back at the times where I was the one climbing the mountain, and then I can look back more recently being at the top of the mountain, and then I can see after lockdown kind of falling off the mountain and being like, okay, I've been here before. I'm not here and I'm not here either. Where do I want to go?
Mm.
And this time, what
Mm.
is my intention with it? Because now I've tasted both and I don't need the extreme of everything and I don't want the extreme of less than nothing either. It's like, where is that balance? Like, if you would have asked me in 2015 how much I want to make, I would have told you I want to be a millionaire by 26. And then if you would have asked me in 2019 how much did I want to make a year, I would have told you maybe around 70K or less because I found when I had the most amount of money, I was the most depressed, the most isolated, the most away from family and friends. And then when I was having not the least amount of money, but a good medium, I had a balance of good work, and then I had a balance of family time and social time, as well as like being able to go look at hobbies. And I was just so extreme in the I don't ever want to be broke. I don't ever want to have to worry about energy that I'm going to work, 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 work. I don't need to see nobody. I need to save. I don't need to see nobody. I need money. I need money. I need money. And it's just like money, it's funny because people say like money can't fix your problems, and then people are like, oh, only people with money say that. And then it's like once you've gotten to a point where like you're financially stable, and then you start to look at the other aspects of your life, and it's unbalanced.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, you know what? I could still kind of maintain this lifestyle with a little bit less money, with a little bit less work. But what that would bring into my life is more time for myself to kind of recoup, recover, kind of recharge. There'd be more time for friends and family. There would be more time to kind of find myself in other hobbies that kind of just take my mind off of the struggle. Because the main driver was every day I woke up was I don't want to feel that way again. I don't want to feel that way again. Now moving forward into the second category, I think you said was like you'll be happy when you get there.
Mm.
With that, I had a friend when I was in high school in 2015. I told them I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to start a clothing company. I'm going to be in fitness, and like I'm going to make these things happen. And then fast forward to 2019, there's this guy Christian Guzman, the owner of Alphalete. Um, he is who I kind of use as a blueprint for my entire career. I kind of
Nice.
just like copy and paste. I was like, this is what he said he's gonna do. He did it, and he vlogged his entire journey to show how he did it. Therefore, to me, all he did was give me a tutorial. So
Yep.
I'm gonna follow this and do it, and it worked for me. And in my mind, I had very much idolized him. I put him at this like top level, like he's jacked. When I get older, I want to be jacked like him. I want to be huge. I want to have clothing, and I want to be a coach. All these things. Fast forward to 2019, I ended up meeting him. He came to Edmonton on like a tour, and then like I met him, and all of that dropped. And it was because I was like twice the size of him, but that's who I wanted to be like in my head. I was like, I've been training since 2013 to look like you. And his own best friend walked beside me as we were talking. He was like, dude, it looks like he's here to meet you. And like that, it killed it in my brain. I was like, I expected so much more, and he's so like shy. And I was like, "You're so outgoing on YouTube and like in real life." And then he ended up talking about it in his YouTube. He's like, "I'm actually like shy. Like I don't really like talking to people. So like doing meet and greets is not like my favorite thing. Like I get weird." And I was like, "Man, like okay, I actually kind of wish I didn't meet him because what I had in my head and what I seen were like kind of different." Then when I went with a bunch of friends that night, my friends were like, "Dude, like you finally met the guy. Like you did it." And I was like, I didn't do anything. I just met a person. And they're like, no, you did it. Like you literally said in 2015, you were going to be him. You were going to work from home, which you do. You're going to own your company, which you do. You're going to make fitness clothing, which you do. They're like, you did everything you said you were going to do. How does it feel? I never realized it.
Mm.
Doing it for 2 years steady. And in my mind, I was still in the struggle. I was still like, I got to work tomorrow because I don't want the energy to turn off. I got to build a brand because I want to sell clothing one day. I got to make sure that I'm working out so that I get big because I want to look like him one day. And then because of that, I never realized that I had actually achieved all those accomplishments almost like a year ago and had no idea I was living the life that I had envisioned for myself in 2015. And then from there, it kind of everything kind of dropped down because it was like, oh, I did it. And that's what I'm telling you.
Mm.
There's a difference in the whole climbing the mountain versus being at the top. Because
Mhm.
in my mind, I was still climbing. I was climbing. I was climbing. I got to get up every day because I'm climbing. I got to show people I can get up there without
And you
realizing
did.
I had did what
Yeah.
I to do
Oh,
and I
yeah.
did it. And
So
then it's
was
like a
that
drop.
actually on that part, like when you had that reflection, did you really recognize like or actually did you have a moment where you thought to yourself, this is it?
Yeah,
Hmm.
because
What was that like? What
every
was
decision that I made and every
yeah.
thought. Well, so like with that being said, like every decision I made and every thought that I had was from a perspective of struggle and pain.
Hmm.
It wasn't from a perspective of gratitude, uh, being happy with what I have in the moment. And I did realize after that thought that I was like, you know what, like this is the life that I want. What is it? Is it actually what I want? Because I
Hmm.
thought that life would be like something crazy, and it was my everyday, day to day life. And I didn't realize it because what I was doing was I was waking up and then blogging and eating. And somehow that was making me a career. And then I was signing online clients. So then I'm just at home on my phone telling people what to eat and what to work out. And then I'm like on YouTube. And then it's like, oh, it's 4 o'clock. I'm going to eat again. And then answer clients. And then it's like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to have a snack and go to the gym. And I'm like, this is what I've always wanted. I want to be able to be free enough to eat, bulk, and work out. That was like my high school dream. I was like, I just want to lift. I just want to eat and lift and eat. If I could lift in the gym, if I could live in the gym and eat in the gym, I'd be in the gym. And it's like, I'm going to set my life up so that I can go to the gym whenever I want. And it's just like, as soon as I was there, I didn't even realize it until someone else said it to me. And then I started looking at everything differently from that moment forward. I was like, okay, like I'm not moving from struggle. And that's where I can say, like, I fell off the mountain
Hmm.
because then I was not scared to spend money. I wasn't scared to
Hmm.
skip the gym. Then I wasn't scared to not meal prep. Then I was free to like, oh, you know what? I didn't go get groceries. I'm gonna go for lunch today and dinner tonight. And then you know what? All of a sudden I get a call from like my mom who wants to go for lunch tomorrow. So now I'm not gonna go buy more groceries. So I'm gonna go for lunch tomorrow. And then I'd go for lunch and then post it, and then someone would be like, "Oh man, it's good to see you're eating out. Like, you know what? Let's grab dinner." And then I started following
Mm.
all like now I'm super social because I'm realizing I don't have to be at home all day working because I've put myself in the position that now clients are kind of just coming to me. So when I want clients, I have them, and the money's coming in. That now I have the life that like if someone wants to meet up for coffee at 2 in the afternoon, I can't say sorry, I'm at work. I can be like, okay, what work do I have done? What work do I have left? I can take 2 hours to kind of go and just have a coffee break with somebody and then come back and go to work because it's on my schedule on my time.
Hmm.
And then there was like a dysregulation that came with that because then there was no longer kind of the cortisol spikes with I need to get up and eat every 2 hours. I need to finish all clients for Tuesday on Tuesday. I need
Mm.
to get to exactly by 9 o'clock so I can work out before they close at 11. It got to the point where like it'd be 9:30 and I'd be out at like Earl's with some friends and I'm like, oh, you know what? Like I'll leave at 9:45. Then all of a sudden it's 10:05. Then it's like 10:20. Then I'm like, you know
1
what? Like
a.m. Yeah.
I'll just skip the gym and I'll stay here tonight. And then it was like I'm no longer getting the results for everything in my life. Now money's going down, but it's spending up. Now my physique is going down, it's not building. And then it's like, why am I not having the things that I wanted without doing the things I did to get them?
Oh, weird, hey?
And I yeah, and I loved it because I was like, all this does is kind of give me the perspective that clients had that I didn't have. And that was the whole not thinking in negatives. Because when a client would come to me and be like, you know what, like, and super negative, like, I looked at myself in the mirror and I don't like what I see, so I didn't take pictures and I'm not going to send you check-ins. And it's like, okay, like the whole point of the pictures is as a tool, so I can't see what you look like, so I can't make adjustments. But then, like as I watched myself lose my physique that I like, I was like,
Mm.
man, like I don't look that good. You know what? I'm not going to post a post workout picture on Instagram today because I don't look good. And then I started getting that whole mindset with it, and all that did was kind of set me up for then lockdown. Because then lockdown, everything came down.
Yeah. Then you were just like, I'm a cocoon.
Yeah. Oh man, it was game over. I was like, I'm not even gonna work out at home. I'm
Yeah.
giving up.
Wait,
And
wait.
I lost it all. I went from like 205 pounds to like 160 pounds. I watched all the Marvel movies on Netflix. I watched all the Harry Potter
Nice.
movies. I never watched movies or anything. I didn't listen to the radio, watch TV, or watch movies. So during lockdown, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this as my opportunity to be normal. I'm going to get Netflix on the TV and start watching the things that everyone's watching because people would talk to me about the TV shows that they're watching. And I'm like, I can't engage in this small talk because I don't watch TV. I read studies. I watch YouTube for fitness. I go to the gym and I eat, and then I talk to my clients all day. I'm
Nice.
like, I'm not engaging in small talk, so I don't know like what concerts are on tonight in the city, what festival or is people going. Like I had no idea what was going on in the world outside of my house.
Yeah.
It was like now I get to like hey step out, and then being locked in the house for 4 months the first time, it was like now I want to know what's going on in the city. Like where are people going? What are people doing? Like where do you go for walks? What if you do want to walk outside? Like I would just kind of walk outside if I wanted to from like my house to my car, and then from the car to the gym, and then from like the car to the grocery store. Now I'm like, where is like the trails that people do? Like I don't even know them in my own city.
Yeah.
Like
Really? Oh, that's crazy.
it was crazy. So like
Huh.
those two things were like the differences in motivations and where and what I wanted to get out of them. The
Mm.
one was the pain to build myself up, and then the other one was the realization of having what I wanted, and was it truly what I wanted and what I thought it would be like. And then I was given the opportunity to stay the same or progress, and I unfortunately kind of regressed. I
Mm.
stopped doing the things I did because I was like, you know what, I'm in the position where yeah, these rules are for people who don't have money. These rules are for people who don't have time.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm not that person anymore. And it's like, no, no, no. Now you have ego. Now you're feeding your ego. Now you think you're above all this shit. So now the universe is like, okay, we got you here. We're just gonna take this away now and show you exactly where you're wrong. And that's what like
Totally.
a lockdown to now has been. And it's all just a change of perspective. And I feel no which ways about anything that has happened. I don't like wish that something never happened to me. I wouldn't take away any of the pains or the struggles that I had to encounter the first time or second time or third time because all I found was that I was being presented with the same problems because I was making the same solution and clearly that solution wasn't working.
Mm.
So then it was like, okay, like if I want this to change, I'm going to have to change the way I approach it. And that was like the first step again into rebuilding up after lockdowns. It was like, hey, this is the first time I've been out of routine for 2 years. This is the first time I've been eating off skip the dishes 3 times a day instead of having food at home. This is the first time going 4 months without working out in the last 10 years. Like it was like I had my entire persona, character, and identity kicked out from under me and was like, are you really that person? Because we just took it all away. So if you're really that person, you're gonna do it again. If you're not that person, you're not that guy. Like that's just what it is. And it was
Totally.
like my identity had to be like kind of attacked at that point. So I'm like, wait, like, is this who I am? Am I just the gym? Am I just fitness? Am I just food? Or am I a person who also like I want to talk to people? I want to understand how people think. Why do I think the way that I think? The way that I think, is it right? Is it not right? Is it the way that other people think? Is that right? Is it not right? Am I living a good life? Am I not living a good life? You start questioning everything. It was like it was like a midlife.
What was one of the biggest so thinking from that point to this point now, what was one of the things where you thought like in that moment you're like, this is absolutely correct? And then after that humbling experience, you found yourself
Yeah,
in a little pit of despair. Where were you, what was there is there an evident like lesson where you thought this and then you're just like, wow, this is anything like that?
it wouldn't have been like as big as like and dramatic, but it was literally the whole like when clients are like, "Oh, I'm not tracking my food and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
working out. How come I'm not seeing results?"
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like on a macro scale when I had to look at like my bank account, look at like the food that I was eating, and be like, "Why am I not where I was and not where I want to be?" And like it wasn't even like I didn't know. It was like I knew every single time I made the decision to step away from what I would usually do. And because I don't like rules, I don't like being told what to do. So then once like everyone starts saying like, "Oh, it's lockdown," you're gonna want to start saving money because you don't know what's gonna happen. I'm like, psh, psh,
I'm gonna spend money, you
lockdown.
sucker.
I had no electricity, boy. I still made it out. They no lockdown. I got electricity. I can still spend.
Now I
And
can
it was
hit
like, no, no, no,
Amazon
no,
with
no, no.
one button.
Yeah, straight. Oh, I was like, bro, I don't even gotta move.
uh,
There's a pizza at my door in like 15 minutes, and I'm gonna have deodorant sent to me and gel sent to me from a drone. Like, bro, I'm chilling. Like, it's another. No, no, it's not. It's you're not there just yet. And that was like a humbling experience because I was trying to feed into a new reality that rules didn't apply to me anymore.
mm,
Because I found that my daily life was nothing like anybody around me. I couldn't hang out with anybody because at the time I was around 21, 22. So anybody at my age was in school full time or working.
mm,
And I wasn't. I was at home and I had a house and it was just me and my brother. And it was like, okay, like I got a house and a car and I have a job online. So I work remotely. My days were filled with like, what can I fill it with? Because everyone's busy with school and work. And then if I wanted to do something, I really couldn't because let's say my friends didn't have the money to do so. So then it was like, okay, like I have these things that people want, but then I don't know people who have these things too. So there's nothing I can really do with them. And what I had to kind of do there was like start changing my mindset to like, hey, I can have this. Everybody can have this.
mm.
And all it was just the work that I put into it. So if I can tell people how to lose fat and I lose fat, and then I tell people how to gain muscle and I'm gaining muscle, I kind of started changing my vlogs from fitness to more mindset. And that was because it was like it was lonely. It was
Oh,
very much easy to say that like when I had the most of everything, it was the loneliest. And it wasn't lonely in the sense that like I wasn't happy being alone because I'd actually prefer being at home in my own environment because I'm in full control. But it would be nice to be like, hey, like if I want to leave to BC for the weekend next weekend, like I want to be like, yo, homie, let's
yeah.
go. And then be like, oh, honestly, like I can't afford it. I can't go. And it's like, okay, like I'll pay for it. Can you do it then? Honestly, like I have a job, so I had maybe 2 weeks. And it's just like, man, like this is why I was feeding myself into like those rules don't apply to me. I'm like, if I want to leave tomorrow, I leave tomorrow. If I want to go buy something right now, I go buy it right now. But this isn't the reality for the people around me. And it wasn't even the reality for my own brother who was with me. And at the time he was in school doing his master's in mechanical engineering and he didn't really have a job either. So like I was like living a completely different life while being in the same household as my brother. And I never looked at it differently. So then I was like, now, not only do I want people to know that you can eat off a meal plan and get results in the gym, I want people to know that like if you believe in yourself and what you want out of this life, if you have an intention, what is your intention with what you find joy in? Like if you do art and like everyone tells you like you're not going to make money as an artist, like
Tell them to
are
tell
you
'em,
going to?
just give it a try. Give it a try.
Yeah, like why not just try it? You're in school, you have a part-time job, but you're still drawing at home. What's stopping you from kind of promoting yourself or actually like trying a little harder? And then the intention is like, what are you doing with it? Like, are you looking at art exhibits? Are you looking at how you actually sell your content? Are you looking at how you price your materials? Are you actually putting out work that you're proud of?
Are you learning from, are you amalgamating your own style from other works?
Yes, or are you completely original and it's a type something that people haven't seen? Like
Hmm.
you're doing something and everyone around you is like, you should sell this. Why would you not consider it? What's the worst case scenario? Nobody buys it. What's the best case scenario? This is your new daily life.
Yeah.
Like you could have one painting and all of a sudden you're thinking you're going to sell it for 15, 20 bucks, 50 bucks on Instagram. And then somebody out of nowhere is like, I love this painting. I want it right now. Here's 100,000.
Yes.
And you say that and someone's be like, oh, that would never happen. It's like,
You never
go look
know.
at how much art is
Honestly,
priced. Go look at what art is priced. Some people have money that you could not imagine. You do not know other people's bank accounts. And through building my business, I got to learn that myself because I was like, okay, if I was in the position and I like really liked someone's service, it wouldn't be like a 15% tip. It was like, you know what? Here's a $200 tip, even though it was just an hour of your time on top of what you charge me, because I want you to believe in the work that you're doing. I see value in it. And maybe if you see that I see value in you, you'll see more value in yourself. And then this is going to be the next stepping stone of how you go about how you carry yourself and how you work around the things that you do. And that whole
totally.
like also vlogging was always speaking specifically to a specific person. I'm like, you, like if you truly want this, are your ideas and then what you're living in alignment? You say that you want to be the best athlete, but you're hanging out with all these friends who realistically love to play video games during the day and then go to the bar on the weekends. Where do you see the future you being the best athlete while you're currently hanging out with people who have there's no correlation
Yeah.
and it sucks, but that's growing up. It's literally growing up, and it's like you're gonna choose to spend your next Friday playing video games and then going out, or you're gonna spend your next Friday like watching footage, seeing what the best stuff is going on right now, and then maybe sitting in your backyard playing like with a soccer ball because you want to have better touch,
Hmm.
right? And it's like, yeah, one sounds like boring and lame, but realistically, one's actually in alignment with what you want. And is it actually boring and lame? Or did someone just put it in your head that it's boring and lame because you're not going out to party with them? But realistically, if someone didn't say that and it was like you're in grade 6 and it was a Friday, you couldn't wait to get out of school to go home and like you were like you didn't want to hear your mom say come inside it's dinner time because you wanted to be outside kicking that ball at the garage to get better every day. It's like you look back at the things that made you happy as a child. You would have did them for free. So
100%.
now, why not do it as an adult and then potentially monetize off of that or teach people how to do what you do? Because there's so many avenues. You can sell the product, or you can teach how to make the product, or you can coach around the product, or you can be a middleman to the product, or you can be a tester for the like there's so many ways to make money in this day and age that the only person stopping yourself realistically is yourself. And I found that for me, I'm the biggest person to stand in front of myself when it comes to ideas. I in my mind was stuck in the struggle. So I was like, I can't tell people to like really do this because I felt like I was an imposter.
Mm.
But it's like, why could I not tell people how to save money when I had been saving money and had nothing? Why could I not tell people how to bulk on a budget when I've been bulking on a budget? How could I not tell people that I'm a good coach when all my clients give me 8 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 in reviews and they all got the results that they paid for? It was like I have all these reasons to believe that what I'm doing is right and it's working, but then I would kind of just blind myself to this and be like, yeah, but I don't feel like I am professional. I don't feel like I do know what I'm talking about. I actually feel like I need someone telling me to do what I do because I need adult supervision. And it's like this imposter syndrome that can take over so quickly. And it's like, where are you able to bring yourself back into like your current state and your reality right now and be like, okay, I don't know everything and that's okay, but I do know more than I did last year. And because of that, I'm in the position that I am. And then when someone comes up to me, if I can offer that advice and help them so that let's say I see them in 6 months, they could be like, bro, we had that conversation one time at Superstore and you were talking about like changing your perspective on anything. Like I did it. I went and I signed up. I'm starting courses for this skill to become better at it because like I actually want to try giving it a go. And it's like, why would you not want to do that when you're young? Like
Mm.
there's a difference between being broke when you're like 18 to 20 something, and there's a difference being broke from like 40 to 50. And like if you had a choice, I kind of would rather be broke multiple times between 18 and like 25 than I would be being broke at 40 to 50. There's just so many more responsibilities. There's so much more life going on. There's probably more people dependent on you at this time. And it's just like you can really fall into a deeper hole. Like you might think you hit rock bottom in your 20s when like you just couldn't go to the out to the restaurant on a Friday because you had to pay like your bank account's in overdraft because you paid off like your cell phone bill.
Yeah.
Like it's not that deep. It's like you're still at home playing Xbox. Like you're not actually broke. Like you could go call someone up, be like, "Hey, mom, you want to go for dinner with me? Go, can you pay for it too?" Versus like you're 50. It's like you're in overdraft. Your car is getting repoed. The bank's taking your house. Your kids don't like you no more because you ruined their lives and you're not doing anything to better yourself. Like you're a leader. So I'm like, I need to lead by example. I need to show that I know what I'm talking about. I need to prove myself in multiple avenues and ways. And all of that is just so when I talk to somebody, what I believe, they can take it and consider it possible. That's it.
Mm. Hmm.
You can look at me and be like, you know what? It's not for me, but I think it's possible because I do know this guy and he did this. Because that's all it took me. I looked at Christian Guzman. He was a college student. He sold meal plans. He saved every dollar. He made his first set of t-shirts, sold out, moved up, got his first gym, sold it, moved up, second gym, third gym, moved up, boom, multi-millionaire, a millionaire by like 23. And
Yeah,
what he
that's pretty
do?
crazy.
Didn't drink, didn't party, whatever. And it was just like, it's possible. That's all I needed. Because when someone comes to me, what makes you think that you're going to be able to work from home? It's possible. So someone put that seed in my head that it's possible. So it's like if I can put the seed in anybody else's head, it's possible. I want
Totally.
everyone to believe in themselves as much as I did when I was building and working up, because I had so many reasons not to believe in myself. But there was just so much pain that I was like, it's either pain or I change the future.
Mm.
And I'm not building I don't want a job that I need a vacation from. I don't want a life that I want to break away from. And that's where that whole like escaping reality thing came into play because I actually had no issues. I really didn't drink. I really didn't party, and it wasn't because like I was super opposed to it. It just wasn't in alignment with what I wanted out of life. And I would find like if I drank, my workouts didn't feel good the next day. I felt groggy. I felt like if someone asked me a question, I couldn't answer it as good as if I didn't drink. And I was like, okay, so is this in alignment with me? No, it's not. And then same thing like at the time would be like marijuana. Like it would slow down my thinking process. It would make me kind of more relaxed. It would kind of lax me to the point where like I wasn't as interested in eating every 2 hours. I wasn't as interested in being on my phone and like messaging people for questions. I wanted to just sit down and be in my head. And it was like, okay, like, is it bad? No. But is it benefiting me in this moment? No. So am I going to do this during the day? Probably not. Stop that, and then like boom, everything starts getting back into alignment. And the way that I know for myself that I'm in alignment is
I was just gonna ask that too.
as soon as I question it is my first step. I'm like, wait, am I in alignment? If you have to ask, most likely you're not, but you might just be like, yo, like I can't believe that I am in alignment. Secondly, I've found that every time I question myself if I'm in alignment, I make the conscious decision to make an intentional move that's in alignment with what I want. And then an opportunity will always arise almost relatively quickly within 24 hours. That has been my thing. Every time I've been questioning my next step and if I'm moving with intention or if I'm on autopilot, I make that intentional step. The next day, within 24 hours, an opportunity that's in alignment with the thing that I did want arises every time. And it's not even so specific to like fitness. It was literally like at one point I was going to the gym. Like I'm like I'm not getting bigger. I'm not getting smaller. I don't want to post. I don't want to vlog. I don't want to post my life to social media. I need to make money somehow without doing this. But I'm deciding today that like this is not it. I don't want to be posting my life anymore. I don't want to be on camera. Half an hour later, I got a call from a buddy saying, "Yo, I'm working at a dealership and we're hiring, and I think you'd be really good for it because you're really good at talking. I watch your stories all the time. I haven't really seen you much, so I kind of like thought, like, what are you up to?" I was like, boom, I'm down. He's like, okay, tomorrow, 11 a.m., you got an interview. And I was like,
It's like you're
okay.
the artist of your life.
It feels that way, but it's not in so much that you can control the outcome. It's kind of like
Mm.
I'm given every single hour the opportunity to be on track or not. And that's why I think the intention is so huge. And that's why I'm like, how can you live your life without the intention? Because I've seen what happens when you go on autopilot. And you're never happy on autopilot. So why would you be wanting to be on autopilot? And why would you strive to be unhappy when you can create the life that's going to make you happy? And if you're not happy right now, just know that you're not doing things that would have made you happy. That's why you're here right now. Like your choices that you made put you here right now. So if you want to take a look back, you can sit here and blame everything under the sun besides yourself. But who was the person that ultimately put you here?
Yeah.
Now,
Who's
if
responsible for the decisions?
exactly. So if you're truly, and obviously like it's super, super rare, but very possible that like all of a sudden, let's say like your entire family died and left you with debt, like sure, it wasn't your fault. But once again, the universe would never put you in a position it doesn't think that you can come out of.
Mm.
Because the same universe that puts the idea in your head is the same idea that's going to bring you the money and the ideas to flow with it and put you into the onto track to open the doors that are in alignment with that. And if you're not getting those things, it's simply because you're not in alignment. It's not your time. You might think that like, hey, I want to be a business owner in the next 6 months, and then all of a sudden it's 3 years later, and now your business is just starting, but it's exponentially growing. It's like, why did you have to have a time frame? All you said was, I want to be a successful business coach.
It's kind of like something that's kind of interesting is the idea, when you come up with an idea and you're like, oh, this is going to be an absolute moneymaker. I'll tell you what mine is. Because I would take the bus all the time and there's no cup holders on the bus. So it'd be like a little foldable, like kind of thing where it would have a magnet and you can actually attach it. And it'd be a cup
Oh,
holder that you'd be able to take with you,
oh,
but
that's
put it in
dope.
your bag because then you can read a book and then not have to worry about spilling your coffee. Uh,
Wow. See, that's a
that's
very
actually,
neat because I don't read ever. So I would have never even thought of that. But for
yeah,
somebody who actually reads and drinks coffee or tea or something on the go, like that's super specific. Which
totally.
I'm now telling you, look, you have a super specific niched product. You know who it's for. You know when
Yeah.
it's applicable.
Oh
Why
yeah.
have you not pulled the trigger?
Honestly, it's because you know what? It wasn't until this conversation where it actually popped up again, where because you were really talking about a bunch of parts where you just kept it just popped up, or opportunities just pop up. And sometimes, well, where I was going with my original point is when we come up with an idea for something and then we create it and then in our minds, but we don't create it in reality, which I have not done with that little particular cup holder thing.
And I'm gonna come back to that.
Oh man, it's fair enough. But the thing that's kind of interesting is that over time, so someone at some point, if I don't do it, someone at some point will do it. Maybe someone that's listening to this, which would be pretty cool.
Be
And I,
awesome.
I wouldn't be upset about it. But
Neither.
when when that happens, it's like that idea, the first time it was meant to happen was when it was there, but you didn't take action, or
Yep.
whoever didn't take action. Then the next time when that happens, you're like, I came up with that idea. They stole my idea. No, no, no. You just didn't implement on the original time. It was now it's that time for that idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, I would get ideas every day, and I would put them in my notes on my phone. And then I would go to my best friend at the time and be like, yo, this is a sick idea. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And then I go home and tell my brother, yo, you're an engineer. If I want to do this, could you like make this for me? Then I go to like my mom and I'd be like, hey, mom, this is what I'm thinking. This is my next business idea. And I would never execute. And then what I found was that almost every idea I brought to my family would be executed in the next 6 months to a year by somebody else.
Mm.
And they were successful, every single one of them, every single one of the ideas. And the thing that was like awesome was the fact that I was very vocal. I would go and tell everybody my intentions. This is what I want to create. This is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. And then when I didn't do it, I could literally just be like, honestly, I just didn't feel the passion inside me to actually go through with it. And that's fine. But when I would see the idea or the product manifest itself into reality via somebody else, I would be like, the only difference between me and him was the time of having the thought in my head and making it a reality. The quicker you can take the idea and make it reality, I think has a direct correlation to your success. And
Success, low speed, delays kill
that's what
dreams.
exactly. And knowing that, that was my learning. That was my learning moment in the ideas because I had like a list of 12 different products that I wanted to make, and all 12 products were made within 2 years after high school. And I was going to meet with my best friend at the time too. So he's seen them all. He's like, dude, you literally said that. Dude, you literally drew that 3 years ago. Dude, you literally tried to pitch this to my uncle, you and your brother like 3 years ago in the summer, remember? And I was like, I have all this written down. But the thing was, nobody around me kind of supported it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody around me really seen it as a thing. Or I was always the one thing I was always told, oh, the market's too saturated. No one's gonna buy that. There's just so
Mm.
many other people doing it. And what I had for myself with those ideas was like, I don't believe any market is saturated. I truly believe that it's impossible. I think that it comes down to a couple of things, but one main thing would be community and marketing.
Mm.
And I believe that, and the reason I believe that is because, like, for example, right now you're wearing a tank top from a certain company, right?
Yeah.
Is your underwear from the same company?
No, actually, this company, the only thing that I don't have from them is underwear, to be honest. Like
There
this
you
hat
go,
is
right?
actually from the same
So, but
company. So,
is it? Yeah.
oh yeah.
How about your socks and sandals?
Not right now, but yes, definitely got the socks.
You got them, right? But does the company make underwear?
No,
No. So it doesn't work with that specific company.
fair.
But let's say, for example, this company does make underwear.
Hmm.
The odds of you having another company's underwear in your closet is
Hmm.
relatively high, correct?
Yes.
So the odds of you having a hat from a different company is high, right?
Yes.
It's actually probably factual.
Yeah.
But the hat already exists from one company. Why not only buy from the one company?
Yeah. Fair enough.
If you go to the grocery store, do you not have at least three different options for bread?
Yeah. At least three.
So if the market is saturated for bread, why is there not just one bread company and everyone buys that one bread company?
Yeah. Why do we have multiple bakeries?
Yeah. Your toilet paper.
Mm.
There's how many toilet paper companies? What are they all producing? Toilet paper.
Yeah.
So if you can put
Huh.
the
Yeah,
same
that's true.
product out, you can put the same product out as somebody else who's doing it successfully. Because clearly, if both those companies have their bread in the grocery store, it's because they're successful with it. Their marketing is good. The only difference is the community. So let's say, for example, your tank top and my tank top, your brand could have a different community.
Hmm.
Somebody who likes traveling, hiking, camping, surfing, whatever it may be, the community that they built and who they target. And then I'm wearing, for example, Gymshark. So then
Nice.
this community is very much gym, fitness, athleisure, aesthetics, supplements. They know two different communities.
Hmm.
The only reason I'm wearing this tank top is because it fits the community that I'm in, but it
You know
doesn't mean,
what? Just because I
yeah.
think it's appropriate for your point, this is Max Effort Muscle, which is also a supplement company. So it's actually the exact same things, two different supplement companies entirely.
There you go. So you could be wearing Gymshark, but you chose to go with him. Why?
Totally. Because I resonate with the story
Why?
more. Say again,
Right?
sorry?
So Gymshark, the reason Gymshark was because Christian Guzman was sponsored by Gymshark when they first started.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So that's the community that I'm within.
Mm-hmm.
But now, if I'm to go buy a tank top from anywhere else, I would still buy it if I like the tank top. So there is no hyper saturation within any type of product or service or anything. I just believe that it's the community that you bring into it, and just sharing a vision.
Yeah.
And if you can believe in your own vision as much as you do, all you need to do is be able to relay your vision to someone else in a way that they can understand it or relate to it. And then from there, it just takes another person, another person, another person, then you have your community. So that's why I like to believe that, like, no matter what your idea is, your business idea, your service idea, your product idea is, the only person stopping between the idea is you. Because I think, even like, for example, you could say, I don't have the money right now to do it. I truly believe that if you do everything needed to make this idea happen, besides the money's going to come some way.
Yes.
Some,
Absolutely.
some way. Whether it's a Kickstarter, GoFundMe, whether it's you have a random uncle that you haven't talked to in 3 years and he asks you what you're working on. You're like, actually, I have this idea. And he's like, you know what? I want to be a silent investor. Let me send you some money. And you're like, okay. Or you're talking about it on a podcast and someone listens to this podcast and like, yo, I heard you want to make a cup holder for the bus. I think that's a great idea. I know a couple guys and a manufacturer. I want to get in the call. That's all. That's like anything is possible.
It's
right?
true. It is
It is
true. I think that's. I think that would actually be very, very likely to happen. Like it's amazing. Well, I think the thing that I love the most about what you're saying as well with do whatever you can and then the money will come. It's like if you can crank out 95% and only 5% of what you got to do involves any funds, then just do the other 95%. And then you're just going to be able to crush it that way. It's freaking legit, man.
Because where else in your life would you let the 5% of something stop you?
Exactly. And then another thing as well is the more that you're pulling out all these strings, at least one of those strings are going to have some tension.
Absolutely.
And it's just, I think it's just like test and retest, test and retest, test and retest. It's guys like fail is an acronym for a failed fail, a faithful attempt in learning.
Yes.
An acronym. Fail. Yeah, fail. That's what it was.
And it's beautiful. And like for that specifically, I like for myself, my biggest mind switch was inviting failure into my life. I wanted to fail as much as possible with the intention of getting closer to the outcome that I actually wanted to achieve.
Totally.
Versus I found everybody else stops at the thought of failure. But then you can start to look into statistics and then use those numbers to help you build the belief system. Oh, every 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Okay, so I'm going to do 20, so hopefully I get 2 successful businesses.
Yeah.
Like, why not believe that? Why not? Versus like, oh, 9 out of 10 businesses fail, so like your first business is probably going to fail. Okay, so I'm just not going to try. That's what you're telling me. And then on top of that, who are you talking to? Are you talking to somebody who goes after their dreams? Are you talking to somebody who has actually achieved what you want to achieve in life?
Are you listening to crop dusters or fighter jets?
Exactly. Because I would never go to a homeless person and ask how they got a mansion.
That is true. That is true. Ask people living the life that is most in alignment with what you want, what you envision.
Somebody who has had it, has it, or helped others.
I like that framework, actually. I'm going to write that down.
Off those 3, because if you're to look into the day and age now, there's lots of mentors via social media. And there's usually 2 ways people go about it. The 2 ways is either they had it and now they're teaching you how to do it, or they were taught by someone else and they're teaching you how to obtain it as well. Because you don't need to have something in order to teach people how to do it. For example, I could coach a bikini girl to stage for a bikini show without ever competing in a bikini show myself. Right? Mm-hmm. So, but I know everything that it takes to go from point A to point B. And I'm confident in that. And I have reason to believe that I can do it. And I have done it in the past. So I have reason to believe that I could do it again.
You're confident in your competence.
Exactly. And I'm aware of where I lack my knowledge in specific areas. So that's where I think people will step in front of themselves if they don't have ego. Because there is ego that could just put you in I'll just do it anyways. But I like to look at it as, I don't know, but I'll figure it out along the way. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to not do it. The whole not doing it is what we're not going to do. I might not know how to do it, but I'm going to take the opportunity and I'll learn along the way, because there's going to be things that I don't know that I'm going to learn, that I can learn the principles for, and principles will always work in all aspects of your life. The only thing that's going to change is the technique. So it might not help me in the specific thing that I'm helping you with, but then the principles that I learned working with you, I might be able to apply in other areas of my life, and therefore that will increase my quality of life in the grand scheme of things. So I didn't waste time. Everything is a learning experience. And the thing is, I believe that everybody knows something that you don't. So anytime you have the opportunity to learn, you should be taking it, because I believe everything you learn is the only thing that cannot be taken from you. You could learn how to make the money to get a fast car, but that fast car can be taken from you. Mm-hmm. But the knowledge to acquire that funds to get that car, you have it up here.
It's invaluable.
They can take away your house, they can take away your car, they can take away your ID, you can take away everything of who you are, but whatever you've experienced and you've learned, they can't take that away from you. So I also believe that you should be reading every day because that's the only way you're going to download new information and new information specifically with what you intentionally want to learn and know about.
I got a random question for you when it comes to reading.
Yes.
Okay. It is very random. So let's say there is a earthly catastrophe that wiped out basically 78% of the human race,
Yes.
right? All the books that existed have fluttered away. There's only one book that's left over, and that's actually adopted specifically as a religion. It is adopted as the way of people interact with each other, how they end up going with their life from a philosophical standpoint or a theological standpoint. And if there's only one book to survive on paperback, what would be the book you would choose for the human civilization? It was a random one. Yeah, at least I warned you
Oh,
on
that
that.
was intense. See, the thing is, I haven't read enough religious books.
Oh, wait, not a religious book. It would be adopted as the religion.
Oh,
So it could
adopted
be.
as
So, for
okay.
example, that I would pick. This would be my answer to it.
Okay.
It would be The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and then Eckhart Tolle would then become a prophet. So it would be utilized as a religion.
Um, I would then have to agree with you
Fair enough.
because most of all my mindset has to do with past and future from the power of now to understand anxiety and depression, to understand that I'm living in the past of something that I cannot change, and that's why I'm worrying about it. And then if I'm living in the future, I'm worried about something that has not yet happened. Therefore, I'm worrying twice potentially because if it hasn't happened, it might not happen. And if I'm worrying about it before it happens, I'm worrying again when it does happen. So the power of now would be is something actually that holds a lot of base in who I am. I've read it probably once a year, and then the stillness speaks as well. Um, yeah, like I would have to agree with you. Obviously, I'm going to say that you inspired that answer because
Fair.
I was taking it more like of a religious book or like the survival handbook that was left from like Indigo or something, or like
Yeah.
the Till. There's like the man's guide to surviving wilderness or something.
Yeah. It's
So I was
Bear
thinking it
it's
a
Bear
completely
Grylls on the cover.
yeah. I was thinking in a completely different way. But if I was to tell you like something that I use in my everyday life, and then something that I would recommend that everybody read multiple times because I believe that there's different things you can take out of it every time you read.
Mm-hmm.
I think that your current circumstances and your current mindset and perspective will actually kind of like curate which points you take out at any given moment. And I think that as you're ever changing and evolving, the points that you take out of it will continue to change. And there might be things that hold no value to you currently. They'll always hold value, but just not to you currently. You're just not in that position of life where that actually applies to you. For example, like a 12-year-old might be stressed out, but getting advice on how to maintain a credit card probably isn't what they need right now. They're not in that area of life yet, right? So it's
That'd be awesome.
you're right. So it's just like I think they're like yeah, like chronically reviewing the book over and seeing what pieces you've forgotten or need to reapply is good, and then seeing the new points that you can take. But yeah, that book would be wonderful because realistically, my answer prior to that would have been probably one or two religious books, but not because of the religion themselves, but because of the guidance that they offer in like a specific chapter. Like for example, like the Christian Bible has like parables
Mm-hmm.
or proverbs, and they're essentially like quotes that you see on Instagram, right? So it's just
Exactly.
like they're just rules that they're not rules, but you can look at them as like, okay, when you're given this problem, think of like this proverb that said like, oh, like in the moment of anger, are you in control of your emotions? And then like right now you're angry and you're about to say something that might hurt somebody that you love, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm angry. That book said that in the moment of anger to ask myself, am I in control of my emotions?
Mm.
And right there, you take that step back and you assess it. If you're not, what are you going to do? Are you going to lash out and intentionally hurt somebody that you love? Or are you going to regress and be like, you know what? I'm not in control. I need to take a walk and we'll revisit this conversation. And then you give yourself time to cool back down and then think from a level head as opposed to just uh, reacting. I love the whole listen to respond, don't listen to react.
Yep.
Because in order to respond, you have to understand everything is being said and you need to let a person make and finish their point. Now, if someone says something that triggers you and you want to react, you are no longer paying attention to what they're saying to their point. You're just waiting to react and reply to them. You're not listening to understand. So I think the intention of every time someone is speaking, your intention should be to understand and then respond, not just to react.
Epictetus has a saying where, well, I forget exactly what it is, but it's along the lines of, actually, I think it's, we have two ears and one mouth for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
And I think that has been something that I have adopted myself that I use regularly because I truly do believe everybody knows something that you don't. And like, how often do I lose a point in a sentence? So me cutting somebody off in the moment, is it really going to be beneficial to that person finishing their point? Because that point could be something that I've needed to hear my whole life.
Mm.
And because you said something that kind of triggered me, I'm gonna stop listening. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to hold, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that thought. And then it's like you never even made your point, and like that point could have been the $1 million cup holder idea point.
Yeah.
You got stuck at the you don't believe in saturation.
Yeah.
Saturation's you could have just completely denoted like yourself, and then once again, who would have been standing in front of you?
That's true.
Right? It all comes back to like how much can you take accountability for every action that you have? How much can you not play the victim and understand that like every choice that you make, whether it's listening, whether it's responding, because sometimes you just don't need to respond either. You can have someone throw like negative stuff your way, and you can take it as for what it is and understand. Like, listen, let them make their point. You're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, blah 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 blah. It's like okay. Then you go back into yourself, and if you have a good self awareness and a good understanding of your identity, you will know that it's not who you are. Therefore, you won't take it
Mm.
personally. Then you can understand that they're coming from a place of hurt. So hurt people hurt people. You can now
Right.
end the conversation and wishing them the best, leave them on a good note, be like, you know what? Sorry, you're not having a good day. I hope it gets better for you, and you just relieve yourself of that conversation. Or you could feed into it, get triggered, and react. And then now comes out that I'm leaving you with negativity because you spewed negativity to me. And it's like, which one do I see has more benefit and which one would I want to practice more often on any day given circumstance?
Totally.
Right?
I think oftentimes for really tough conversations, more often than not, obviously there's some conversations where one person is happier than the other person. But I find for most like simple disagreements or misunderstandings where what you're saying makes the most sense, where maybe if you just listened for a second, chose to respond and then readdressed it, then it would come out differently. But I think for most folks, the way that the conversation ends, both people feel the same way. And if there's the opportunity to just respond rather than react, at least there's a higher probability of both of the uh, people, both of the folks to walk away at least semi decent mood instead of
Absolutely.
absolutely flipping shit.
Yeah, and that it comes down to like communication because
Mhm.
everybody believes like, oh, you need amazing communication. You need to communicate, you need to communicate, you need to communicate. But communication only goes as far as comprehension. And if you consistently are trying to get your idea across to somebody who cannot comprehend what you're trying to say, you're still not getting to the point. You are communicating, yes. Is communication beneficial? Absolutely. But if you cannot express it in a way that can be easily consumed, understood, or malleable, the comprehension is not there. So you could have like a professor explain quantum physics to you in such a streamlined sentence, but the comprehension isn't going to be there for you. It doesn't mean that he didn't communicate it properly. It's just you're not at the same wavelength.
Mhm.
So it's like, where are you in this conversation? Do you need to dial yourself up or do you need to dial yourself down? because the whole point of communication is to communicate. And for that, there's a reason that political and government speeches are written at a grade 6 level. It's the whole point
Correct.
is so it can be understood by masses. And so you could sit here and have like a professor on anything political speak at their top level as if they're speaking to experts in their field. What does that do for the general population? It doesn't do anything. They're not understanding it. So they can have a view on, let's say, global warming, and then you get a scientist who comes in and talks literally about how like the heating up per decimal of 1 liter of water in the sky can cause the eradication of nitrogen in our atmosphere. It's like, but global warming is a problem. It's like, yeah, like what he was agreeing with you, but you're not comprehending what he's saying.
Yeah.
So communication isn't the end all be all. It's actually comprehension. Like, are you able to communicate in a way that you're getting your point across and you're delivering it how you want it to be intentionally accepted? And then is the person in the mind state themselves or in the emotional control to comprehend what you're saying and being able to give themselves time to actually understand what you're saying, to be able to respond from a standpoint of understanding what you said, not emotion and reaction?
Mm.
Because somebody could be seeing red and you could sit here and be like, listen, like, it was a red light and you went through it. And they're like, I gotta get to the hospital right now. Like, you need to get out of my way. It doesn't matter what you said. They know they went through a red light. They clearly didn't care. You're telling them the truth. You should not have gone through the light because it was red. They don't care. They're not comprehending that it was a red light. They're not showing. They got a place to be, and it's important to them, and then everything else is shut off. So it's like, how deep is the comprehension when you're sitting here having these conversations? Because you could talk your ears off. I could have sat here talking for the last hour, and you could have been like, "Man, I have no idea what the heck this kid is talking about, man." Like, I was
I've
just
been
saying,
I'm very entrenched in what you're saying. It's good. I got nothing to add because I basically just I agree. I'm more like, yeah, yeah, man.
yeah,
Yeah. I
and like,
totally get it. This is great.
yeah,
It's good, man.
and that's what makes it exciting because this means that the conversation that we're having, you're comprehending.
Mhm.
So for myself, it gives me the opportunity to continue communicating with the understanding that you're actually comprehending what I'm saying, and then it seems beneficial for both ends because I might not have taught you anything that you didn't already know, but I might have sparked up an idea that you forgot about.
Yeah,
So
you
then
got a
today,
couple there. I got a couple notes.
beautiful, which that's my only intention every time I interact with somebody. So that means I've now fulfilled the intention that I have for this conversation, but also it might have lit up a seed or an idea that you
Mm.
might have been sitting on if it has been on the back burner. And this conversation might now today be the pivot point from you taking it from an idea to making it a reality. And all it was just like, hey man, like I know a guy and you should podcast with him, and then you invite me on here and we have this conversation as complete strangers, but you comprehended everything that I said and you agreed with most of it. And if anything, I added more value to your thoughts or
Hmm.
added more validity to your ideas and perspectives because now you know that it's not just yours or it's not just you and your friends. It's also, yo, like this stranger I've never met, never spoke to from across the province or wherever you may be, uh, holds the same values, holds the same idea, and kind of carries that same energy that I can relate to. Like we're on the same wavelength. Like the rhythm is actually there, and that cannot be like constructed. That cannot be made up. That cannot be faked. Like
It's just something.
there's
It's not something that you have or not have. It's something where when there is a kindred spirit, it's palpable.
exactly, and you feel it, and like your body will let you know. And the fact that you are sitting here listening to every word I have to say without having to. This is a complete choice.
That's true.
And then
Yeah.
on top of that, you're not going out here and then while I'm speaking daydreaming because you're not interested in what I have to say, right? You're listening to it, you're like, actually, you're thinking, you're like, yeah, you know what? Actually, yes, you know what? I agree. Yeah, like all this is just like, this means you're present right now. Like,
Yeah. No. Oh
how long does
man,
it feel like we've been speaking for? Like, from like when we first started before the recording?
we're on to 2 hours. We're on to 2 hours for sure. Yeah.
What does it feel like?
It doesn't even feel like that. Like when I first looked at the clock, I actually didn't look at the clock for a while. I'm like, holy shit. It went by way quicker. So it was just being in that present place. And honestly, man, the way that I think of presence and the way I think of being present and being intentional is simply having the thought of I have nowhere else to be presently. There's only right here that I need to be because this is the priority at this time. And honestly, I think this is kind of a cool thing because I definitely have like a couple solid notes. Like I really like I like how it has the cuz. So comprehension is the key to communication. And I think that'll be like a really easy thing for people to like, so now I actually have a way of articulating a thought that I've had before, but I didn't have a method of messaging until now. So that would be like a takeaway. And I think that what else would be kind of a cool thought on this one? I think the beauty of being present in a conversation, or what I think is really cool in this moment is that I get to have now a part of our articulation, but it's enjoyable being able to be a conduit for allowing thoughts to flow rather than trying to get my thoughts over your thoughts in an unnecessary competitive like manner. I think it's just cool just having that like opportunity where it's the cool like in between where the next time we have a podcast, maybe I'll like be like blah, just like crazy, and then you'll be like,
Yeah,
holy shit, look at these notes, man.
I
Oh.
would hope so.
Yeah.
I would imagine that that's like the best outcome. Is like I would love for there to be like if not more excitement,
Hmm.
and if not more more breakthroughs.
One day I'll have an in-person one. We'll have in person. That's
That'd
the
be crazy.
goal.
But yeah, breakthroughs is everything. And like I said, like the whole point is like I hope somebody takes something away, or I hope someone learns something, or I reignite something. And at the end of the day, as long as they believe themselves, because that's the whole point. I want people to believe in themselves as much as they possibly can, because if someone else doesn't believe in you, who's going to?
You know
And
what? I'm gonna piggyback off of one thing on that one.
yeah,
Even if you don't believe in yourself, borrow someone else's belief until you built up enough of your own.
exactly. There's like the two ways to go about the whole fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I like fully believed in it at first. I was like, fake it till you make it. And then I was like, I feel fake.
Yeah, yeah. Weird.
Imposter syndrome
What?
is pretty real right now. And then I do things that I actually can do, and like I make it, and then I'm like, hey, but there's still people doing it better than I am who shouldn't be. And that's not from like a personal standpoint. It's simply, let's say, credential wise. Like there could be like a kid who just finished university to be a doctor who has a TikTok. So he has all these eyes. So he's very influential. But then you have like a doctor who's like 60, 80 years old, who's been treating cancer for 40 years, who knows everything about it. It's like, who really needs this platform?
Mhm.
And who actually has the credential to be speaking on what they're speaking on. So like this guy could have maybe 6 clients that have cancer and he's helping them fix that. And then you have this guy who has 1 million followers on TikTok and he's like, this is my approach to what I would do if somebody came to me with cancer. Like that's obviously super, super hypothetical. But
Mhm.
it's just like somebody with less knowledge and less credentials could be in the same position or better position than you simply because they believe themselves.
Totally.
And in the fitness industry for myself, I can attest to that, that there's definitely thousands of people who claim to be coaches who should not be coaching people. Um, and then there's thousands of coaches who I think I let coach myself, my family, my mother, my grandma, my child, who have no following, who barely have clients, and they have to get another job because they just don't have the clientele to support their career.
Totally.
And it's not because they don't withhold the information and wisdom necessary to do so and do so properly very well, and if not ideally, it's just they don't have the proper network to grow.
I think in both of those, kind of like how you were talking about how you experienced the non-electricity and you experienced the electricity. I think now it's a common theme that I've been noticing with the stories across is trying to find that homeostasis. So the person that doesn't have the experience but has the following should understand that they have a responsibility to up their skill set to meet the standards to which would be the best for the client, so that they can, be a positive impact. And then the person that has the years of experience should also learn the other parts. So they should actually learn from each other or learn
From each
like
other.
the overlap kind of component. And yeah, I think, and then like you were saying, how you had the no electricity, then you had a lot of electricity, and now you're finding that medium level of electricity. And it's you. I think having the extremes is about not thinking that someone is faulty. This is an interesting thought. Not thinking that someone is faulty. So I do not know. I have a lot of experience. I do not know how to market. Thus, I am faulty, and it will not work. That's such a crappy place to be. It could be, I know that I have experience. All I need to learn is how to articulate my thoughts and then speak it to other people, and then it'll eventually come over time. As long as you do the 95%, that 5% where the money's coming in is going to come.
Absolutely. And for that specific thing, I would just say like people need to find out how to build the intrinsic motivation from that,
Mm.
or build the validity and value in their thoughts for themselves. So, like I said, like you have your ideas, and then maybe you have some friends that also believe in those. Therefore, you have more validity in the way that you see things. And then now you speak to a stranger across the internet, and he just happens to say the same things that you agree with as well. All that's
Yeah.
doing is kind of hammering down that this belief is a belief, and it's now a core belief. And you now have reasons. You got like point form reasons to believe why this belief you have is why you believe it. You might have just woke up one day and you're like, I feel like people should just be good to people. And then you got like religion that comes into play and it says, no, you should be good to people. And then you got school and like you hang out with people and teachers tell you you should be good to people. And then you got your mom and your dad and like, hey, go hang out with the neighbor, but make sure you're good. And then you got to be like, you have all these things telling you like, why do I need to be good to people? Because all these areas you need to be good to people. And then there was nothing that was inherently bad that came out of being good. Then you're like, okay, I being a good person is good. And then, like I gave the example for myself, it was like every time I felt like I was maybe falling off track and I was questioning myself, am I in alignment? The first thing was recognizing I'm asking this question, am I in alignment? Then, secondly, okay, what I'm about to do next, if it's in alignment, I'm going to intentionally make it on purpose that my next move is in alignment with what I truly want because I think maybe I was on autopilot. And then it's almost like, okay, now that I did those two things, that opportunity arises in like 12 hours, 24 hours. That's that next reason to believe that I'm now actually in alignment. And as long as I continuously am able to kind of self audit my decisions, self audit my thoughts, self audit my emotions, and then self audit the intention of everything. Like, am I wanting to be a good coach because I just want to make millions? Is that my intention? Or am I wanting to learn more every day to be a good coach to help millions and inherently get towards the first goal? But
I
without the
like it.
intention of actually having that, right?
I love that.
That's the
There's a,
intention. The intention is to touch as many lives as possible and improve as many people's quality of lives through health and wellness as I can. That's my intention because that's helped me in my life. And I want to give what I have been given because I can speak from personal experience. So I know I have the knowledge, I have the authority, and I lead by example. Those are
nice.
my reasons to believe that what I'm doing is one good and that I'm able to do this because I have these three things behind me. Can I tell clients what to eat and what to do in the gym? Yes. Why? Because I have a diploma. Why should clients believe that what I tell them will work? Because I'm showing them I'm doing it myself. And then I have my first round of clients that got the results. So now I have social proof that what I have up here, I can now also, I can take what you envision in your brain for your body. I can envision it in my brain and I can put words on a piece of paper and email to make it a reality for both of us. Like realistically, it's not to make it super dramatic, but that's literally it. If you came to me at 240 pounds and you're like, I want to feel confident in my body, I want to be strong, I want to look like this boxer, and I'm like, okay, I see the vision, I understand what you want. If you listen to what I tell you, we're going to get you there.
Hmm.
Now we have kind of migrated our visions together. And then by following the steps and the consistency of alignment, intentionally doing all these things towards this goal, we get there and we both made it a reality together. And I believe that having more than one brain on one thought has more power. Because if we look at religion, when you look at like praying, there is the belief that if you get everyone in the church to pray for one person's health, there's just that much more energy in the intention. Now, the same thing is like you could sit here saying, I want to lose weight, but there's a difference between you saying, I want to lose weight, and then you having me come into your life and be like, I want to help you lose weight. I'm going to
Mm,
help, I am going to help you lose weight. We are going to lose weight together.
yeah.
Now, what we do is self audit, look at the intention, which could be two things. Do I want to lose weight because I want to look better because I'm vain? Or do I want to look better, or do I want to lose weight to feel better because I want to be able to play with my grandchildren, because I want to be able to get out of bed, off the toilet, put my shoes and socks on without being out of breath? Intention. Let's get to the root of why you're doing what you're doing. And then from there, if it's in alignment with who you are, it's going to happen. Lots of people who do it for vanity end up falling off. Why? Because the intention wasn't pure. Oh, I just got out of a relationship, so I want a revenge body. Oh, you know what? This guy or this girl left me because this other guy or this other girl was better looking, so I want to be better looking. The intention was you weren't doing it for yourself. You were doing it for somebody else. Now, that might be the Kickstarter, the catalyst for change in your brain, which we can understand and is very good. But then we always need to understand like what's the root and now what's the intention. Because if we can get the intention to align with positive thoughts, the process of it happening is going to be a lot smoother, it's going to be a lot faster, and it's going to have a better outcome.
Totally.
Can you see results with vanity? Absolutely. But are they long lasting? Are they fulfilling? Do they improve your quality of life? Not so much.
Yeah. It's a short burn. It's a very
Absolutely.
short burn when it's surface, like the surface level kind of when we get to think a little bit deeper, then we get to really think of the intention. And Ed Milet says something that I really love, and it's you don't have if you don't have confidence in your competence, have confidence in your intentions, and that way at least you have like a more not, like an ethical approach towards your goals. And something that was kind of cool, I just remember this story now, when it came to the opportunities or the like a manifesting where you didn't take the opportunity at that point, and then a little like 6 months later it happened. So this happened in a like moments, the same, like within the same 5 minutes kind of thing. So I was sitting on the promenade here in Edmonton, and there's this little old lady that was with a walker, and she was moving pretty quick. Like she was like moving very, very well. And I had the impulse, the drive to like ask a question. And I knew what the question was. Like that's how quick it happened, but I stopped myself because I never done that before. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't. And then she just went on her own way, and I was just like chillaxing, just overlooking the river valley. And I said to myself, if I ever see that lady again, because she always walks the promenade, I'll actually ask her the question. I'll tell you what the question is in a second here. But sure enough, just chill for a little bit, and then I started walking back. Sure enough, the little old lady was right there at the very last bench on the exact same path that I was on. I'm like, all right. And I walked by. And as I was walking by, I can feel the um I call it the anxiety of incongruence.
Mm,
So what I promised myself to do, I was doing the opposite by slowly walking by. And I probably
yeah.
went about 2 meters, and then I turned around and I'm like, can I ask you a question? And she's like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, what is your advice for living a good life? If you're looking back, what's your advice for living a good
She's
life?
an older lady with life experience, right?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
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 And so she answered, she said, just spend time with good people, eat good food, and get exercise. And that's pretty much where, because I've asked the question a couple times since then, because she kind of like opened the floodgates for me to be more comfortable asking. And she's 95 years old. So I
Wow.
asked her, I'm like, how old are you? If you don't mind me asking, she's like 95. And I'm like, holy shit, you're almost a century old. She's like, yep, 5 off. I'm like, you move very well. You're moving very, very well. She's like, thank you. And the crazy thing, so she's going to speak through me to you on this one,
Okay.
because we were just shooting the shit and we were just chatting. And I was just like asking her question after question, because I have a theory that for the most part, everybody will learn the same lessons as we get closer to death. The only variable is whether it's by choice or by chance when in our lifetime we learn it.
Yeah.
And And what was it she said? I said, well, hopefully when we parted ways, I'm like, well, hopefully I make it to your age. And she said, you will. I think you have a good chance. You're already thinking. And I thought that was an interesting line. It's like, you're already thinking. Like, what is it that you know that I don't know where you're saying such an odd statement like that? You're already thinking. It's like, isn't everybody in thinking? Isn't everybody intentional?
Yeah, and clearly it's not the case. Kind of like the same way how some people have a voice in their head and some people don't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have like, dude, I would say that I probably have multiple. I have my own little council of Kyles. That's how I
Oh,
organize.
I do as
That's how
well.
nice. Do you have a
I would
quote?
say that I have let's say your main character in your brain.
Yeah.
What does that voice sound like to you? Is it your current voice of your age now, or is it teenager you, or college you, or 13-year-old voice of you? Which voice is it?
I
Your
would
main,
say I would think my main one is it would probably be my present voice.
yeah.
But I could definitely say like the other one, the other ones. What?
We're not crazy,
The
right?
yeah,
If everyone's insane, you're the only one who's sane.
right. But there's different vibes for each one. It's different like jobs. But for the main one, I think of it like Star Trek's a good example, or I think of it like the Jedi Council,
Okay.
where my main consciousness is the Grand Master, but then my other kind of thoughts are kind of there too. But I have a
Mm,
Grand Master, or if it's a Star Trek reference, then I'm in the captain's chair, and then
yeah.
everyone else is giving me information, and then
Yeah.
the consciousness to which is Kyle, is able to take that information and make a data-driven decision.
Yes.
But I think a lot of folks, or at least before for myself, I was the captain that wasn't taking hold of this ship, and that's where chaos in my life.
Autopilot. You
Yeah,
were on autopilot.
absolutely. It's like this freaking Jedi Council's freaking crushing it. Peace.
Yeah, it's
Oh
like you guys seem to know what you're doing, so instead of executing what you guys say, I just think I like the way it sounds. You guys say it really good, and
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's good. It's good. And then they're like, "Are you gonna do anything about it?" Oh, no, 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 no. But it's good. I agree with what you're saying, but am I gonna do something about it? And that's literally like that right there is intention. Just to bring it all back, like it's intention. And I would say like the same thing. Like I not only do I have multiple voices that I hear, of myself depending on the topic that I speak on. But I'm actually my first language is Spanish, and then I learned English after. So I actually can switch between my childhood voices depending on the topic because something that happens now, I certain words, smells, songs will shoot me back to the first time I experienced any of those three things,
Mm.
or how I felt during those things, and then I would get more memories of other times that I had similar feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So between those two things, the voice that speaks to me is the voice that was present in that memory. So I could have been like 12.
Oh,
Yeah. So I
I
could have been like
see.
12
I
and
like
like
that.
a cop car goes in front of me and like the sirens are super loud and I hear them go from left to right. And I hear, you know how the siren, there's a term for it, how the siren when it comes and when it goes, there's like it's changes the
Okay.
way it sounds. So it goes like from wee 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 and it goes away. There's like it's a Doppler effect or something. It's some sort of like there's a term for it. But because I heard it, and then the next day I went to science class and I got the actual definition of what that's called, I remember talking to myself, hearing the cop car go, and being like, "Wow, why does it sound different?" And then being in school the next day, and when the teacher's like, "Has anybody ever heard a siren from like an ambulance or a cop car when they're far away and they're coming, and then they go far away, and you hear that pitch change? This is the name for it, and this is why it occurs." And then I'm in class asking these questions. That voice with that memory is what I hear in my head when I'm talking about that at that time. But
Nice.
then also constantly talking between the two with my current voice, and then depending how much emotion is invested in the conversation, the Spanish personality might come out as well.
Nice.
Because realistically, at home, I spoke Spanish and I thought in Spanish. I watched Spanish TV, Spanish music. And then I went to school, I spoke English and learned in English. But then, so they're almost separate personalities between the languages to the point where even when I speak in English and Spanish, even if it's the same topic, The mannerisms, the energy, and almost the personality behind it is different. And that's the
That's
same thing
fun.
in my brain. And I feel like that might have a
Hmm.
correlation to do with learning strategies as a child and the whole ADD thing. I think there's just more avenues that have not been studied, or not, maybe not studied, but spoken about enough that it's common knowledge that
Mm.
like potentially like, is there a correlation between having more than two languages in your childhood that could change the way that you learn and operate in a classroom setting, depending if it's your first language or your second language? Because then I feel like there's also cultural identity on the way that you think. So, like in
Oh,
English,
yeah,
typically I
that makes
don't
sense.
swear. I really don't like swear words in English that much. Not for any reason other than I just don't like the way they mostly sound. Like the F word sounds so like strong and like vulgar. I'm just like, but am I against it? No, absolutely not. Is it in all my music? Absolutely. But if I was to say be at home by myself and I stub my toe or I smack my elbow against the wall, I'm gonna swear in Spanish and then start complaining in Spanish with more emotion and more expression.
Mm.
But
Would it
in
be
English,
possible? Sorry to interrupt on that one. Would it be possible that it's actually your kind of like inner child that's mostly having the temper tantrum, the internal temper
so
tantrum
I
that's
would
really
say
popping out
I would
with the
say most
question?
likely it would be a representation of what I seen as a child. So I'm reenacting my
Mm.
grandpa or my dad or my grandma hit their thing and being like, ah, puta, and then being like speaking Spanish. And then I'm just like, oh, so when you hit something and it hurts, you're like, ah, puta, like a little kid. And then now that's like the thing, right?
Yeah.
But then in English, same scenario. I could be by myself and I could severely smash my elbow against the side of the table, even break glass, step on it, and show no emotion and say absolutely nothing. And the reason for that would be because when I was learning sports psychology and how things work, it's expression of pain is taught and it's a reenactment of what you learn as a child. So when you see a baby
Mm.
fall, if they look around for attention and they don't get it, they most likely won't cry. But if they do fall and you sit there and you coddle them and you're like, oh, are you okay? One, two, three. They start to express this hurt because they know that they get that reaction out of you.
That's cool, man.
So that
I'm gonna make an observation of that. Like, how do I respond with pain? And I'm gonna compare it to how I perceive my younger self to experience pain.
because
I
yeah,
think
because
that's a fun little thought exercise.
like I could do that and I could hurt myself, but I know that pain is an expression because I
Mm.
was taught that in English studies, not English like the language, but I was in my English persona learning this at Nate. So it's like pain is
Huh.
in the brain. Pain is not real. Pain is in the brain, and it's simply a sensation. And once you start to look at pain as a sensation, you start to build more pain tolerance because your first paper cut hurts. Then your next paper cut, you kind of know what you're expecting. Third paper cut, fourth paper cut, to the point now as an adult, you can kind of scratch and cut your cuticles on things, and you kind of won't even notice because you've built up this pattern that I'm not going to die. It's not that serious. And as an adult, it's very small. But as a student, that paper cut might be the highlight of your day. So it holds a lot more value in your head. Now you're running out the door because you got to get to work really quickly and you just bang into the closet. Your mind is like, I got to get to the door. Like, there's no point of being like, ah, shit, oh, hit myself. But there is the instance where if somebody was around so that they know that you hurt yourself, you punch the wall, you might not even feel pain. Do you know how many times you might just hit your finger and be like, ah, it didn't actually hurt. You just expressed it,
Hmm.
right? You might just
Nice.
do something and be like, ow, but it didn't actually hurt. Like, how many times have you said ow and you realistically, did you actually have to say ow?
A lot.
And then how many times have you hurt yourself to the point where like you're like, I might actually cry from this one, and you're like,
Many times when I crush my finger in between the dumbbells in the rack, you know?
you see, so both are pain. So both are the sensation of
Yeah,
pain.
yeah,
But the
yeah.
way that you're expressing them is differently. So you can now add in the expression of pain due to what you were taught in English, but in Spanish, I never got that. What did I learn in Spanish was lots of expression. I feel culturally, in culture, there's more emotion and there's more expressions of emotion. And then if I was to go to like my English side of thinking, I'd say it's more logical, less emotional, and more data driven. But both exist in the same head and
Mhm.
both exist at the same time. So that's now something where I say, like, I don't feel like this has been widely talked about. That what is the correlation between having multiple languages in your head and your learning experience while you go through like life? Because like,
Yeah.
are you actually an audiovisual learner, or are you a hands-on learner because you just don't know those words in your mother language? So it's easier for you to touch something and understand it and do it versus in your mother language, you could sit there and just do audio and listen to it all day and be like, I know I'm comprehending.
Nice. Well, we're getting to the top of the hour on that one, my man.
Yeah, so
That
that's
was a
your
fantastic
child
point.
talking, your
I
trauma
had to,
talking, and
yeah,
Spanish and English language talking.
yeah. I had to think about, you know, how I was telling you about pre-call. I was like, gotta get the alignment. I'm like, oh, there's a good like, chunk of solid knowledge bombs in that one, dude. Ah, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
I
because
like
that's
it.
where you who you are. Because you'll realize, like,
Yeah, that's right.
am I an expressive person for people, or am I an expressive person? Because if you're alone and you express yourself, you're an expressive person. If you hit
Mm,
yourself and you're like, that hurt, man, and you talk to yourself, you're expressing yourself. But if you're alone and you're like, boom, and you know that you're just gonna be like, and go on. But then if like somebody's with you and you just feel the urge to express yourself, you know that you're doing that for someone else. So then you can now take that of
mm.
how you do anything is how you do everything. If you have a slight pain, you need someone else to know about it. What's the difference between you now seeking validation in other areas of your life because someone needs to know about it?
That's a gooder. Oh, that's interesting. So it's you're looking at it from the observation of how. So if you experience the exact same thing, but the circumstance or the difference is just the person being there, are
Being
you?
observed versus not being observed.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I mean,
yeah.
particles they change when they're being observed.
Yeah, that's right.
And what are we made from?
Oh yeah, yeah. That would actually be fun because I can actually think like I'm thinking back on all the times where I just said "ow" just cause, and there was a person around. Like it's so funny. I hit my like I don't even know why. I just hit my everything on the corner here. The door, the corner. There's plenty of room. It's a me thing for sure, but it's consistent. And there's been more times where Kendra's been working and I've hit myself and I'd be like, ow, nothing. She's not around. Like I could just go and hit myself and then it's totally on. That's actually so funny because it's the validation part. That's so fun. Hmm. That's
Because
cool. I
what
like
you're
that.
needing is like your mind, your body, and then you're waiting to like complete the experience.
Hmm.
So like for example, you could be sad, but if you don't cry, you actually haven't completed your experience.
So that probably
That can
okay,
build.
that's making a connector there. So that's actually could be a contributor to it's not flowing through you, it's stopping at you. So you're not able to fully embrace and be in the
And
moment with it.
process.
Yeah,
You're not
because you're
processing.
stopping it entirely.
Exactly. That's
I
why I
like
said like
that.
it's not good nor bad. It's understanding, are you an expressive person or are you just expressing for someone else? Because then that could be also okay. So that means that like if people are around and you hurt yourself and your instinct is to go and not show sign of pain, does that mean that every time in life when you were growing up and you went through something that was very painful, you decided to keep it in you, not to express anything? Because now if we
Yes.
look at your life as an adult, is it still working for you? Or is there now maybe some things that you kind of struggle with and they might be rooted in the fact that you never felt that you could express your pain?
That's cool. Let me make sure I got this right because I wrote it down. Are you an expressive person or are you expressing for someone?
There you go.
Okay, I like that. That's a good one, dude.
Because it's a root for all things. One quick one is when you start first working out for yourself and you just check yourself out, you take pictures and you leave them on your phone. And then you start getting really fit and you start getting attention from people noticing that you're getting fit. You get that external validation. And then it turns into now you go to the gym to take the photo to post it. You can still say, I'm working out for myself. But what's the difference between when you were working out for yourself and not showing anybody versus when you were working out for yourself, but you need to show everybody?
Mm,
Because you can very much say, I posted it for me. Then why did it leave your camera album?
that's
Because
right.
where it's stored, it's right there. No problem. When you want to look at it, you have it. It's just for you. But you purposefully, intentionally put it on a public forum where public eyes can see. Regardless if you're working out for them or not, there is something that you're seeking. You might not even think you look good. How many times have you heard of somebody being like, I felt like I needed validation because they didn't feel good. So what they did was post what they thought looked good. So I walked past you and I hit my hand and it didn't hurt, but I said, ow. So you'd be like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah. So oh, let me enable
What'd you
your
do? What,
validation.
yeah, what'd you do? Like, I'm seen and I'm heard.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm not understood, but right now I'm being seen and I'm being heard, and that's enough for me to feel good, even though
Mhm.
it didn't hurt, right?
Oh
Huge.
my man, that's a good
It's
one.
so little, and that's why I don't understand why intention is not more prominent in everyday life and in the way that you go about everything.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome, dude. Okay, my man, we're getting to the top of a bajillion hour of our 1,000th hour. Just joking, it's not
Yeah.
1,000th hour. It's good though. Like this is our first time chatting, and it's been solid like not 5 hours, sorry, like 2 hours. No, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7. So 3 hours of chatting. That's what we've been going on, man.
Yeah.
That's freaking solid. That is
First
a
time
good
ever
sign.
speaking, first time ever meeting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No,
As
that's great.
raw and natural, organic as it gets. So
Yeah,
make sure the seeds that come out of here know they're organic.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe slightly genetically modified, but that's about it. Oh, that's pretty sweet. So yeah, gonna close it out on two questions. But before I get into those two questions, my friend, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Ice Villalta, which is just IceVillalta. And that username also goes across to TikTok and YouTube. And then I also have Facebook at Isaiah Ice Argota Villalta. But mainly, my main source of everything is Instagram. And then for fitness stuff, I post to TikTok. But Instagram at IceViota at Instagram, where you can find me, message me, apply for online coaching, all that good stuff.
Excellent. Ice Villalta, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, my friend, two final questions. First one, obviously very lighthearted. You're on your deathbed and you have no content that exists. This podcast doesn't exist. And you have one piece of advice that you get to pass on to the people around you. What would that piece of advice be?
To follow your gut, and I don't mean only in the sense of doing, but also not doing. Your gut will tell you when something is good, and your gut will tell you when you're probably in a place you shouldn't be doing something you shouldn't be doing with someone you shouldn't be around.
That is good. I love that. I love that, like the other half of it. I like that. That was good. Oh my gosh, that was a great one. Your gut will tell you what to do and not to do. That's good. All right. And the final question, my friend. The best version of you is sitting next to you and wants to give you advice for this season of your life to try to help you get through whatever it could be. What piece of advice would he give you right now?
To stop standing in front of myself and
Nice.
to self audit to ensure that my actions are in alignment with my goals.
Nice.
As long as every choice and action is in alignment with my goals, there's no reason for myself not to be going there if I'm not stopping myself, standing in front of myself.
Nice. I like that. Well, folks, if you loved today's episode, please do me a favor right now. Share it on your Instagram stories and tag me with the handle at Dapper Dude Kyle, along with at Ice Vialta. That is one of the ways that we grow. And until next time, I hope your day treats you as good as you look.